was getting cucks too. Thanks, Cox.
Yeah, I can tell you're lagging a little bit in game. Like, I'm not getting green chips. That's because of iron. But I'll have, well, actually, I don't know. I guess we'll have to, I'll try and get the next level science online. I don't know if we'll have enough to get beacons going, though.
Oh no.
I also am told that Chuck Graham, state senator, is here. Chuck, stand up. Chuck, let him see you. Oh, God love you. What am I talking about? I tell you what, you're making everybody else stand up, though, pal. Thank you very, very much. God love you. What am I talking about? I tell you what, you're making everybody else stand up, though, pal. Thank you very
Server is not responding.
And I also
there we
am
go.
told that Chuck Graham, state senator, is here. Chuck, stand up. Chuck, let him see you. Oh, God love you. What am I talking about? I tell you what, you're making everybody else stand up, though, pal. Thank you very, very much.
Can you explain what happened to Cho? Nobody knows what happened to Cho. Nobody knows. A lot of people are acting like they know, but nobody knows. I don't know what happened to Cho either.
I don't even know who Joe is.
Korean streamer person, girl. Apparently got
Gotcha.
banned, but nobody knows why.
What do they play?
She's an IRL streamer. It's all the rage these days, Kyle.
It really is. These seem to be one over.
What is a UG belt? Do you know what that means?
Underground?
Oh.
What are you looking at?
Oh, my little beacon setup.
You know, there's something to creating your own setups that's very satisfying, but at the same time, man, people have some really cool setups that you can just fucking copy.
No.
Speed modules.
Is Ice done streaming yet? Thoughts on his first stream? I don't know. We'll see if we can carry it on.
Did he start streaming on YouTube or something and had a bunch of viewers, or?
Yeah, today is his first time.
So what does he do about subscribers? It's now,
I don't know. Does YouTube have subscribers now?
Isn't that theoretical? That's what I'm asking. I don't know. Isn't that theoretically where most of his?
Nah, donations are a huge part.
Oh, for him, yeah, I could see that. Okay.
YouTube has subs called sponsors. Gotcha. All right. Can 16 furnaces feed all of our shit? I guess we'll see how it goes. They're doing our copper.
All of our. What do you mean all of our shit?
All of our copper is being fed by 16 furnaces. That's the dream, I guess.
Oh, well, yeah, we're not producing any red chips right now. Why are we not producing any red chips?
Could it be iron?
Something, it almost looks like something got broken. Oh, because we're not producing any plastic.
That's scary.
Wait, why is this not? Oh, because the plastic only comes on the other side. Okay, so what the fuck's wrong with our plastic?
Where the fuck does this power line go to, Kyle?
Because we're out of petroleum gas. Hey, we were out of petroleum gas finally. I was waiting for
Oh
that.
shit, I can start cracking again. If you go up to them, you can reverse them all. Do you see what I mean? Hold on. Well, wait, let me see exactly what's going on. Hold on.
We're full on light oil. We need to crack light oil.
Yeah, okay, that's the problem then. All right, so then these.
I'll let you take care of that. So we have more oil we can network into the system eventually.
Nah, I think they buffed it too much because this has lasted us for a fucking long time.
Yeah, I know they buffed the oil.
Does the train do damage if it hits you? Yep.
You can get killed by a train. In fact, you can get an achievement for being killed by a train.
Damn, Daniel.
You have that achievement?
Yeah. When we were achievement hunting, that was one of the easier ones to get.
Yeah, certainly.
The heavy oil cracker turns it into light oil. Yeah, we don't want to do that. All right.
Yeah, we want heavy oil. Well, we also don't have any heavy oil because we're using it for lubricant. But eventually we get... I saw it earlier. Where is it?
Uh-oh.
Fuck, where did it go? There it is. Coal liquefaction. Which basically allows you to turn 10 coal, 25 heavy oil, and 50 water into 35 heavy oil, 15 light oil, and 20 petroleum gas. So basically you get turn coal into more oil, which is crazy.
Yeah. All right, we're good now. The petroleum should be good again. What were we hurt on? Plastic?
Yeah. Plastic was not getting to red chips, and red chips are needed for lots of things.
Okay, I lied. Never mind. We'll see how it goes.
Right now, plastic's the last thing on like the red, or the red chips are like the last thing on the plastic line. Everything else is actually the only thing we're using plastic for is red chips, isn't it?
Are you fucking kidding me? It's liquefaction. It's liquefaction, not liquefaction.
Oh, I just said the word that I thought it would be when I looked at how it's spelled.
All right, well, someone in chat is very upset about the word you use, so.
I apologize. Liquefaction is no, it is not liquefaction.
Oh, okay, never mind. We are good. We're good on petroleum. These memes are happening. Okay, iron. Oh, I was gonna work on that. Hold on.
I have these, right? Yeah.
Oh my god, it's so hard for me to find things in my inventory. Oh, here it is.
All right.
Is it alright, Kyle?
Yep. High-tech science packs. Oops, that's not what I want to do. As soon as we're not fucked on red chips, we will be producing high-tech science. I don't have. Oh, I guess I can just fucking use this yellow belt. Who cares?
You're going to wake up really early to stream this. What? Committee on the Judiciary. Oversight of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Wait, what's going on here? What is this? Boom, boom, boom.
All right.
Me or anyone else worth anything intellectually would put you on your ass in 3 seconds flat, but instead of debating anyone intelligent, you debate lowest common denominator about bestiality. Oh,
Isn't
shit.
that what everyone says to you?
Yeah. You want to come on stream then and, quote, put me on my ass? Quote, reply. Do you think he'll say yes?
I don't know, maybe.
I don't think he's going to, Kyle. His name is Bernard Jewstein. Really makes you think.
What does it make you think about?
Makes me think about a lot of things, Kyle. He says that I pretend to be intelligent, but I don't even know about Appalachia. What? I don't. What does that mean? Maybe I'm not intelligent. Appalachia is a cultural region in the eastern United States. It stretches from the southern tier of New York to northern Alabama, Mississippi, and Georgia. While the
I was going to say,
Appalachian
so
Mountains...
just Appalachian Mountains? Yeah, yeah.
What am I
I
supposed
didn't
to
realize
know
that
about?
that was a. I don't know.
Okay. Well, maybe I'm not smart enough to know. Did you ever think of that, Kyle?
I did think of that. Wait, what the fuck?
What's up, Kyle?
We're not getting like, are we not getting red and, or we're like using all of our red and green signs? Right? Yeah, because red, they're not getting backed up, huh? Interesting.
Okay, I think that getting the productivity modules out is really important, I think, because we're inventing resources, right? So it means we have to search for less.
Sure. I just think we're going to be a little bit stuck until we get a retarded amount of iron online.
Oh, yeah, fuck, I was gonna go do that. Oh, I was tearing all this down to go do that. All right, yeah, let me do that. Are you still considering starting a podcast? Yeah, I want to. I just need Mike Spam to get on that shit, but he's slacking, guys. Blame him.
Steven, what does he get out of your podcast?
I would pay him something. I don't know what the fuck I'd pay him, but I'd pay him something, right?
All right, I'm just making sure.
I pay all my people now, Kyle. Pay my YouTube guy. I've paid all the people for my graphic design, my logo stuff, my music stuff.
You're just a job creator, huh?
I'm a job creator. You're right, Kyle. Filing 1099s and shit. Yeah, dude. Let's get some of that trickle-down economy going, dude. If I just had more money, I could create even more jobs out of fucking nowhere. I would just start hiring people for no fucking reason, Kyle. I just need more tax breaks.
Well, why don't you start lobbying the government?
I'll do it.
I think that's the next step, isn't it?
Oh, maybe
Lobbying.
I'll work on it, Kyle. It feels good to save America. One job created at a time. Out of the goodness of my heart.
All right. So do we need more iron mining?
I'm not sure.
Are we good on iron mining?
We should be good on it. I just need to go and redo the furnaces.
Hey
which is what I'm
dudes,
about to set
I've
up.
subscribed to Destiny for almost 2 years. What do I get for being a loyal submarino?
God damn.
Bonus
our little
meme,
outpost
left or
creates so much
right?
fucking pollution.
What do you get, dude? You get the joys and satisfaction of knowing you've supported me all this time.
How do rail lights work? Do you just like plop those things down and then they like stop there and just wait?
Oh,
Or rail
dude,
signals?
I wish I could explain it to you, but it's a little bit retardedly complicated, so I'm not sure.
Rail
Like,
signals are retardedly complicated?
When you put the signal down, what it does is it starts to, Or here, can you come find me, actually, and I can show you?
I'm by one.
Yeah, but it'd be easier to demonstrate on a smaller thing.
All right. Oh yeah, holy shit, there's a lot of iron that's just backed up here.
Or maybe I can break it. Maybe I'll try to explain. So what happens when you put down a signal is it starts to break the track into chunks. When you put down a signal, you've created one giant chunk of track, right? So what the game does with the signal is it says, okay, is this chunk clear? If yes, then green. If no, then red. So if you put down only one signal, it will always be red if your
What
track
a
is a
ripoff.
giant circle, right?
Gotcha.
So if you put down 2, then the first one will check up until the next signal, and it'll say, is this track? So like right here, look. So we've created a chunk of track here, okay? So what this signal does is this signal looks at this chunk up to this signal and up to this signal, and it says, is this clear? If yes, green. If no, red.
Dashigasm.
Right? If we look up to this signal here, this signal will analyze the track up to the next signal right here, right? If clear... Wait, I wonder why that's red. Is that a signal? Or is that a design? Oh, I don't know why the fuck that one's red.
This is the signal over here.
Yeah, it's red. I don't know why. This should only be checking up to... Oh, shit. It should only be checking up to this right here. Wait, but he went anyway, even though it was red. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't...
This signal is fucked. Something's wrong with that shit. But anyway, look how this is red because the train is on that next part of the chunk. It's red. It's going to wait until it pulls into the top one. There, now I know it pulled in because it turned green now. Does it kind of make sense?
Yeah, this kind of makes sense.
Yeah. It's a little confusing, but... For any merge, you need 3 signals, 1 on each input and 1 on the output. Oh, okay, sure. I don't know, my dude. It's working, okay? Go read about train sometime.
I feel like we just need... I feel like we need more... So are you making more furnaces? Is that what's going on?
No, I'm making it efficient. Like, look, this is only 16 furnaces, but they're module, their speed and productivity module to fuck. Or they will be at least, right? So they hopefully work a little bit faster, and the blue track helps as well. I think this is providing us with enough copper that we're good. Yeah. We just have 16. So, like, with the iron, I'm going to tear down a lot of these and then make it hyper efficient. It's the dream.
Okay.
But I just need to do it. But we'll see. Yeah, I'm going to do that now, though.
So... Okay, I guess I'll set up productivity modules, just even though we can't really produce them because we're not producing enough red chips.
Sure.
We're not producing enough green chips because we're not producing enough iron.
Okay.
I can get that shit online.
Oh shit, I need to go grab green checks for...
Hopefully we build up like a little bit of high-tech science packs so we can get like... How have we not built any? Like, what do we need for more dumb X? Oh wait, how are we doing on power actually?
How far into the night are we?
I just don't know how your beacons are going to affect it.
It'll be a decent drain, I think. But do you know how deep we're into the night? Because we're at about half our battery.
Maybe I need to look into nuclear.
I don't know anything about nuclear yet, but maybe.
I don't know
It's probably really power efficient, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, I think nuclear is fucking ridiculous. We can make centrifuges. We can make a nuclear reactor. For that, we need concrete.
Which is just water and stone or something, right?
Is that the thing where it's not stone bricks? Because I have stone bricks on lockdown. I do not have concrete, or I do not have regular stone down. Where the fuck is concrete?
How about the Android app? Whoa, dude, talk to my web dev. He's working on it, okay?
Why do I not see concrete? I need to search for it. Stone bricks, iron ore, and water. Is that different? Oh, it's iron ore? It's fucking, oh my god. How am I supposed to do this shit? What the fuck, game?
Have you tried not sucking shit, Kyle? Oh!
Got him.
Okay, fuck.
Right.
There's a Kekistan guy that actually wanted to have a discussion with me. I'm probably gonna drag him in pretty soon, okay?
Alright, I can just like mute myself and you guys can go to town. But I mean,
It's
you're not,
a
are you
discussion,
gonna...
not a go to town.
Are you gonna be able to fix the iron issues and discuss at the same time?
Yeah, I'm building it right now.
Alright.
Yeah, it is alright.
What is Kekistan?
It's some
Do I
stupid
want to
way
know?
that like edgy people identify themselves online now, and they're part of Kekistan. It's like their little political. It's kind of like the new Anonymous, I think.
That's exactly what I was afraid of.
Wait, what? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, there we go.
Oh, I'm retarded. I never put inserters over.
Good on power. All right, Kyle.
We want productivity next, right? That's the better. And then efficiency is like, who
Fuck
cares right now?
efficiency, because we have infinite power from the sun, Kyle. From the sun. Don't bother, this guy is literally an actual retard. You'll be wasting your time. Wait, how do you know? You don't even know who I'm going to be talking to, do you?
I mean, maybe he's just,
Kyle,
going by past performance. I don't know.
wait, did you ever see the movie Clerks? I forgot.
Yes. Oh, server, please. Okay. Oh, God.
Oh, wow, my stream is dropping to like 0. I love getting coxed on stream. Oh, yeah.
It's spooky when it happens.
Did my stream get cut? Or is it still on?
Do you need me to check?
I don't know.
I don't know is a no.
Oh, that's not who I'm talking about, Picklemancer. I'm talking to another dude.
Whoops.
Is it?
Oh
Whoops?
god, it's I'm like trying to destroy some things with grenades, but then the robots just come and repair it. And they repair it faster than I can destroy it. This is a challenge.
All right, Cal, I'm dragging him in. Wish me luck. Oh,
All right,
God.
I'll just let you go.
Yeah.
I'll just mute myself. I did before I finish this.
All right, what's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How about you?
Pretty good. All right. We got into something on Twitter a while ago, and you wanted to talk about it, I think.
Yes, that's correct.
All right. Do you remember specifically what it was we were going to talk about?
Absolutely. I was looking through some tweets on your, I guess it would be your feed, after Sargon posted a message from you. I believe it was his particular message was straw man. So then I looked into the message history, and specifically, it referred to a statement made during your debate with him.
Yeah.
And let's see, there was a sort of discussion going on between these two other YouTubers. You came in with the statement, Sargon's assumption was that black people are genetically inferior to white people and are too dumb to get married.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yep, and so I'm just going to read your statements. No, he doesn't. I suggested that. He rejected it. Said that black people just needed to get married to solve their economic problems.
Okay.
And then you linked the selection in which Sargon makes the statement, if they get married, they're not going to be in poverty.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, from that point, I brought up the fact that people who stay together in marriage and are capable of raising children are more likely to be financially stable.
Mm-hmm.
You presented the counterpoint that maybe people who are financially stable get married.
Mm-hmm.
I countered with some statisticals on various aspects of marriage, but my final statement was all right, so let's check the now financially stable for reasons, for the given reason in a survey that people presented for the reason they got married.
Sure.
And it wasn't present. So that's when you suggested that we discuss this matter.
Okay. All right. So what exactly what are we discussing? Are we discussing Sargon statements or the fact of the matter of the marriage thing, or what? Just so that I'm absolutely clear on what exactly we're discussing.
Oh, absolutely. 1 second. I can pull up the email, or not the email, the tweet.
Sure. Or it doesn't. I just need to know. I just need to have a general idea. Are we going to talk about Sargon statements or your beliefs about these statements, or rather just like the marriage thing and the black people thing?
Well, in general, I guess would be the synopsis of what I believe is
Okay.
that Sargon's statement is flawed but there is truth to it, specifically when it comes to black marriages and their low marriage rate statistically.
Gotcha. Okay, and you believe that, so we're going to be talking about black marriage rates, right, essentially?
Essentially, and it all relates to Sargon's statement that the flawed statement that marriage could potentially assist them in digging themselves out of the supposed poverty that most black people.
Gotcha. Okay,
yeah.
Sure. Okay. Okay, so before we get into this, I just want to make sure that we kind of like agree on a couple things in terms of understanding. I'm sorry if these sound condescending. I'm just checking. Can you explain to me real fast the difference between correlation and causation?
Yeah, off the top of my head, correlation suggests a relationship, where causation suggests that a relationship caused, where A caused B.
Gotcha. Okay, so so you understand that if we correlate that dead animals are most often found on the side of the road, right? That's like a correlation, that location and dead animals, but we wouldn't imply that, or we wouldn't say that there's a causal link that an animal going to the side of the road gets killed by the side of the road. Like that's why they end up dead, right? We would just say that you can correlate those locations and the death of the animal, but you wouldn't say that like there's a causal link between the animal going to the side of the road and being killed, right? There's something else present there?
Absolutely not. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, cool. All right, so your general contention then is that black people, or I guess let me just ask you this question, and then you can tell me if you don't like this, we can head in a different direction. Why is it that you think that black people don't get married?
Well, specifically, there are, I guess, three groupings of reasons. Spiritually, economically, and the family. So more and more black people are choosing not to get married, predominantly because of suitability between the partners. And that can get into every single range of economics, of ability of a person to raise a child, or their spirituality.
Wait, what does that mean? When you say spirituality, what do you mean by that?
The religious versus the non-religious. For example, black people who are religious try to find other black people who are religious.
So do you think that black people have become significantly less religious over the past?
Yeah, statistically, yes.
More so than any other group of person? More so than white people? More so than, like, what?
No. My statistics compare from the 1960s to modern day, or to now. There's a definite increase in atheism or agnostic belief.
Okay, so you believe that black people are getting married less because of a disappearance of religion in black communities?
No, that religion is a factor of suitability.
Okay. What other factors do you think exist?
In relation to specifically suitability, education, income, and history with exes, and involved with exes would be children and criminal history.
Okay. I don't think we necessarily disagree with anything then.
Well, I think the essential disagreement comes from Sargon's original statement, where so after he provided that the solution would be that they get married, he did not say that they stay married.
What do you mean by that?
Well, immediately after he made the statement that they're impoverished because they're not getting married, which was a point of contention during your discussion, I realized that the descriptions that he provided and you were discussing were of a couple that remained married.
Wait, I guess I'm not. You're saying that I'm losing the distinction here. That that black people get married, but they don't stay married?
No. Okay. So specifically in your discussion with Sargon, just reviewing after you presented the evidence and the tweets, I reviewed the whole tape like a third time, and I noticed that after the point in which you guys disagreed on the the usefulness of marriage in pulling the black community, the impoverished black community, out of poverty. Sargon began to describe the description of people remaining married, whereas you pointed out that married couples don't necessarily stay together. Marriage doesn't necessarily provide stability. And then also in that discussion, you pointed out that it could be that stable people are getting married.
Sure.
So,
and I could be wrong, but it sounds like you don't disagree with any of that. Or am I not understanding you?
Yes. Well,
wait, yes to what?
Oh, I'm sorry. The real disagreement comes from that you were pointing these things out for the idea of marriage.
Pointing, what do you mean by that?
Okay. So
well, here before, but maybe can I summarize my position on it, and then I'll summarize what I believe Sargon's position is on it, and then you can tell me what you agree or disagree with. How about that?
Sounds great.
Okay, so my position on marriage was that people that get married are typically people that are doing decently in life, that a lot of the advantages that you see that married people have over non-married people would be similar to advantages that you would see people with large retirement accounts having over people without like significant savings. Like, it's not like people or wait, hold on, this is a bad example. I'm trying to think of a better example. Fuck, I can't think of one right now. I'm sorry. Okay, so people that get married are people that choose to get married because they're already in like a specific they're already like in a specific part of their life. The things that you were talking about earlier, they have a level of financial stability, they have a level of job stability. They as a result of having financial stability and job stability, they probably haven't spent a lot of time like incarcerated or experiencing extreme financial depression or anything like this, right? That these are people that are generally already better off. So when you look at something like married people tend to be doing better than unmarried people, it's because people that are doing better than unmarried people, or I'm sorry, it's because people that are doing better tend to get married, right? It's not, the marriage isn't the cause of their financial success, it's a result of it, right? So you can't just tell people to get married and then all of a sudden, you know, that it fixes all of their problems. Typically people that get married are people that have already alleviated all of these problems. That was generally my point of view. It seemed like Sargon's point of view was that if the black community would just start getting married, it would fix all of their problems, ignoring the fact that people that get married have typically already solved these problems. That seemed to be the two different points of views, mine versus Sargon's, right? Okay, I'm sorry. So do you either disagree with my point of view or disagree with the way that I've characterized Sargon's point of view?
Well, specifically as it relates to black people, neither of you touched on the reality that many black people have been incarcerated.
Sure. Well, yeah, of course, that's part of looking at socioeconomic issues, right? Incarceration kind of goes into that.
That affects the suitability of a black individual marrying a non-incarcerated or particularly criminal history background another person.
For sure. And I'm making a jump here, and I fully admit that, but I think you'll agree with this logic that if you are incarcerated, it may not even necessarily be the incarceration itself that affects your suitability, but being incarcerated probably plays a huge role into your level of education and your job opportunity as well, right? If you've spent 10 years in prison, you're probably not going to have a very high level of education, and you're probably not going to be doing very well in the job market, right? That these things all kind of play into socioeconomic factors, right?
Absolutely. Incarceration would affect both the rate in which a person acquires an education post-incarceration and their ability to earn income after said education, if they receive one at all.
Sure. Okay, so then looking back on it again, it kind of seems like you more or less agree with my point of view, no?
No, I'm afraid not. When it comes to the black community, every example that you provided would probably be more median to the white community, but specifically with the black community with such a substantial increase in the likelihood of a black individual getting imprisoned. What you provided was unrelated to the actual topic, which was when you were discussing the black community.
Wait, I'm sorry. So you think so? Okay, wait, I'm sorry because I misunderstood then. So why is it that you think that black people have a disproportionate problem getting married as opposed to white people then?
Specifically when it comes to the population of poor black Americans, it's a combination of income, specifically in the relationship of income, is the welfare reliance. Education, when it comes to education, black women are out educating men, so that means that they are at I think it's 2-to-1 ratio of,
Yeah, I've heard that twice as many black women graduate from school as opposed to black men. Yeah.
right. And then finally, it's security in whatever, I'm sorry, security and in generally like the relationship security, how many exes have been around, how much resources are being taken away by previous relationships, how stable is that relationship going to be? So a lot of
Okay, but these issues don't sound. So then, I mean, going a step further, then why do black men face these issues disproportionately to white men?
specifically because of systemic issues that hinder the success of black individuals. I mean, there has been very few studies to explain exactly why it's a 2-to-1 ratio for black men to achieve an education, or specifically to explain why it's a 1 in 3 likelihood of a black man getting a criminal record, depending on the region of the country. But each of these things would have a huge factor.
Sure. So what exactly do we disagree on?
Well, my initial statement is that these are all within Sargon's idea that marriage could potentially reduce these factors.
Well, but I thought we agreed that the reason why they don't get married is because these factors exist in the first place. Or did we not agree with that?
No, I mean, I'm not sure if I did agree to that, but what I'm specifically intending to say is that these factors can be alleviated through marriage.
Oh, okay. So you think that if people get married, that but it seems like that's not how it works in any other community. Like, white people don't use marriage as a tool to escape from poverty, but rather wealthier white people tend to get married as opposed to poor white people.
So are you saying that wealthier white people don't use it as a tool to escape poverty, or poor white people don't use it as a tool to escape poverty?
I would say, I mean, I would be surprised if either does. From the studies that I've seen, I haven't seen anything saying that poor people getting married like improves their lot in life. In fact, I could go and pull it out, but I think somebody just linked me a study that was done recently that shows that married men's earnings actually decrease sometimes as compared to single men who don't get married first. So it seems like there's evidence, I don't want to say pointing to the contrary, but I haven't found anything convincing that's like, oh, you know, this group of people were in poverty and then they get married and that improves their situation in life. Do you have any kind of information like that, or would you approach it in a different way?
Well, specifically, and when we're referring to people in marriage, we're referring to people who remain in marriage and,
Sure.
and raise children. So I do have some studies that would support that, but personally, I like to go with the common sense approach. And basically, these studies amount to, if you got 2 people in the household, one of them specializes in taking care of the household, one of them specializes in earning income. The division of labor can result in a more efficient system, and you would save money in the cost of childcare if each individual was paying for childcare if they had the custody of the children.
Sure, I mean, I don't deny that. But again, if people choose to get married mainly because these financial precursors are already there, then I don't, it just doesn't seem very realistic to tell 2 people to just like, hey, go get married if they don't have the prerequisite conditions to do so, which I think we agree is some degree of financial stability already.
Well, that's another thing. So you say that financial stability is required, or at least an important feature of an individual choosing to get married, specifically as it relates to the poor.
Yeah, that's what it appears to be to me, yeah.
So what would you say to the fact that proportionately, if we go by purely numbers alone, there are more poor people getting married than rich people?
I don't know. Is that necessarily true? I thought that it was typically wealthier people that got married.
As I understand it, the ratio is per capita.
Yeah, for sure. We would only look at per capita, of course.
I'm saying that there are more quantitatively poor people getting married than rich people. You look at the amount.
Well, I'm not concerned about the amount, though. We're always talking about per capita. And every study I've ever heard, or anybody talk about this has always said that, like, yeah, I'm just Googling real fast. This is from the Telegraph. So I don't know if they're quoting a legitimate study, but like this is saying wealthy people are 4 times more likely to marry than the poor. Here's an article from the New York Times that says marriages for rich people. Here's another article that says why the rich are more likely to get married. So it seems like per capita, wealthy people are much more likely to get married than poor people.
Absolutely. And normally that I would totally agree with you. But what is the percentage population of the rich?
Well, I mean, it would depend on where you would cut it off. I mean, I don't know. Why?
Well, would you give me a percentage?
I mean, it would depend on... Well, no, I can't. Wait, well, what would you consider rich? I guess let me ask that.
Would you agree that 20,000 a year is rich?
Probably not.
Or 200,000. My mistake. 200,000.
Sure.
Okay. So then the percentage of the population earning 200 plus may be, I guess, in a generous 3.3 or 33%.
No, that's probably much less. People making 200,000 a year, apparently some people are saying 1.5% is like a quick number that I Googled.
Okay. So, and then the population of the United States is like, I think 250 million people.
In the U.S., I think we're closer to 350. I want to say 330.
Okay.
Hold on. United States population is 321 million.
So we're saying that 1% of the population gets married more often than, I would have to say, at least 33% of the population. And when you run the numbers on that, it's millions versus like a million.
Okay.
So normally that really wouldn't matter, like if it was any other situation. But when it comes to the quantity of people that are poor that do get married despite being financially disadvantaged, that's a significance, because it's individual choices to get married under poor conditions as opposed to individuals.
Well, you're conflating poor here with not rich. I don't think that's necessarily fair. Just because you're not making 200K a year doesn't mean you're poor. And just typically when we talk about poor black people, we're not talking about black people that are making 150K or less than 200K. I think when we talk about poor, we're talking about sometimes many levels beneath the poverty line, right? I don't think these are fair to equate.
As I understand it, there's a greater population of individuals who are, I guess, below the middle of the poverty. I mean, not middle of the poverty, middle of the median earnings and lower. So there's more poor people, essentially. If you were to name any number of this many poor people, there will be more of them than the 1% of the population.
More poor people than the 1%? Yeah, for sure.
So that means that even if they're getting married at a lesser rate, it's going to be a substantially larger population of poor individuals getting married than rich individuals.
Okay.
So basically what I'm saying is that if you were to look at the percentages, then yes, you would see that the rich are getting married more often than the poor. But if you were to look at how many of them are doing this, then you would see that there are many more poor people choosing to risk that, even without being financially stable, to get married. Does that make sense?
I guess.
So basically, why are they making this choice? If it's not for if it is that they are not financially stable, then why would they do it?
Well, again, I don't know if poor is the same as not financially stable. I think you're conflating that a little bit. I don't think it's fair to say that just because you're poor, you're like, there's different levels of poorness, right?
Absolutely.
And typically when we're talking about people in the black community, we're not talking about people that are poor making, 60K a year. We're usually talking about people that are like fucked in like inner city shit.
As I understand it, you're of the belief that the average, I'm going to read a quote from you. The average fucking American that floats 50,000 in credit card debt. The average fucking idiotic American that floats 50,000 in credit card debt has no fucking idea the value of money or how to leverage debt or how leveraging debt works.
Sure, I don't see how this necessarily relates to this topic, though, but...
So I believe that it is fair to assume that the average American has a poor understanding of finance.
I mean, I would say so, sure.
So you mentioned that you couldn't necessarily say that they wouldn't be financially unstable, but if you yourself believe that most of them have bad debt, then that would mean in any modest assessment of financial stability or financial security, I assume we're using them interchangeably, then this would qualify, that we can generally say.
No, somebody with $20,000 in credit card debt has to achieve a certain level of financial stability to even acquire that much debt, right? Like net worth isn't a very mature indicator of success, right? A very poor person who has never had access to debt, like somebody living in the ghetto, is going to have a much higher net worth than a student studying law or pre-med, right? Like these are people whose net worth is going to be in the negative tens of thousands, potentially hundreds of thousands. But I mean, if you're talking about absolute net worth here, that's not a good indicator of success in life, right? Somebody studying at a high cost at a high cost like university or something is probably going to be doing a lot better than somebody with a higher net worth, absolute net worth, right? I don't think these are good.
So you're saying that, okay. So you're saying that, could you explain that one more time, please?
Somebody that has a lot of credit card debt is probably doing better than somebody that hasn't even had the opportunity to have a credit card. Like poor financial...
So I'm going to read another quote from you. Poor people use debt to compensate for a lack of income and then further fuck themselves. Poor people manage debt incorrectly. A majority of the time it ends up hurting them.
Sure. I think that people use credit cards very poorly.
Well, you mentioned that their net worth would be better.
Sure, but you're comparing like relative terms to absolute terms. Like just because your net worth can be made better doesn't mean that the bad net worth you had before is the same as like being broke as fuck, I guess.
Okay, so are you saying that it is not fair to assume that a poor person is likely to have bad debt?
Well, I mean, they could. Payday loans and title loans, and there are other types of bad debt that poor people in poverty can assume, sure.
But is it likely that a poor person, for the sake of this discussion, could have this bad debt?
Don't know if a poor person is going to have like $50,000 in credit card debt. I don't know if they would even have the opportunity to get that much in credit card debt, or like to get that much credit to leverage to fuck themselves. They wouldn't be given enough rope to hang themselves with, I think.
No, your statement was the average person. So specifically as it relates to poor people, they use debt to compensate for a lack of income, which, as you stated in another video.
I think these are like really, really different conversations. When I'm talking about the average person's utilization of credit card debt versus speaking in absolute terms of like levels of poverty between races in America, these were like very, very, very different conversations. I don't know if I would take one statement from one conversation there and then try to relate it back to this. I think that these are very, very different topics.
So are you saying that these statements would be from two different conversations?
I think they were. Yeah. I don't know why I would be talking about credit card debt.
This would be the prepping for the Lauren Southern debate. Oh, I'm sorry. No. Destiny teaches some financial literacy. It was around the 0750, and then the next statement was made at the 2021.
Yeah, but when we're talking about like financial literacy, like in terms of like, the problem I'm having is that like we're using terms like poor, and these are like undefined terms that are understood for the context of a conversation, but aren't meant to be taken absolutely. So when I say that like an average poor person doesn't understand how to leverage debt, I mean that my definition of poor there includes people like my parents who make six figures but are absolutely fucking horrible at managing their debt. My parents, for instance, make a lot of money, but they have a lot of debt and they're really bad at managing it. I'm not talking about poor in much the same way that like if I was talking about poor children in like Nicaragua or sub-Sahara Africa, that's not the same type of poor I mean when I say like, oh, if you're kind of a poor person, you might not be able to send your kid to a private university, right? These are taking the word poor and decontextualizing it would require me to give it more qualifiers. So when I say poor in a conversation of financial literacy about credit card debt, I'm probably just talking about somebody that hasn't learned, good things about wealth management and whatnot, not necessarily an absolute income level, and not necessarily people making at the poverty line, right?
Okay. So what do you think about 30K and below, or 35K and below?
What about it?
And
whether or not that includes being in poverty or whatnot?
Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out a gauge in which you would accept a poverty number.
Well, like what? It depends. Well, what is the specific? What is it related to the conversation? Like, what specifically are we talking about? And then I can give you like a thing about poor or poverty.
The issue that we're running into now is that I mentioned that the people who are poor and unstable get married, right? And you were unsure as to whether most poor people would be financially unstable.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Wait, I'm sorry. Could you repeat that one more time?
Okay. So the issue that we're having is that I'm saying that the poor who are also financially unstable, you're saying that most poor people most likely would not be financially unstable. Is that correct?
That most people probably aren't financially unstable. I mean, insofar as their propensity to get married, probably not.
They're probably not financially unstable?
Probably not financially unstable. I think, I don't know, I'd have to look up the specific like marriage figures. I'm not sure in the United States. I know that we're like, what? Hold on one second.
Okay.
Maybe, but maybe not. I'm sorry, go ahead.
So from this point, I'm just trying to figure out what a number that you would agree to would require welfare assistance.
Well, so when we talk about like the problem with nailing down a specific number is that it depends on what we're talking about. Are we talking about like the national, because there is a national poverty level, right? I think it's like 24,000 or something. But like there are different, I mean, like making 30K, if you make 30K and you live in California or like San Francisco or LA, like you're fucked. But if you're making 30K and you live in like Oklahoma or Nebraska or Iowa, you know, you could be doing okay. I think that generally, I think we define poverty usually doesn't that have to do with like access to institutions as well? Like, do you have the ability to get an education? Do you have the ability to feed yourself? Do you have the ability to at least own some type of property or like rent or something? Like we're not usually talking about like an absolute number. Like if you make 45,000 now, you're okay, you know, like, and it can vary based on family size as well.
Right, and I believe that when you get into the institutional and the resources, that's absolute poverty.
Mm-hmm.
I believe we're talking about just relative poverty.
Sure. But I guess, so what exactly is the point that we're getting to for this?
Okay, so essentially, Black individuals who are unstable, financially unstable, can get themselves to a financially stable point.
Yeah.
Impoverished Black people who are financially unstable can get themselves out of the financially unstable point if they pool their resources together with a partner that they can rely on.
Okay. That may or may not be true, but again, this goes back to the problem I was saying before, was that it doesn't seem like that's how anybody else uses marriage. Like that was my kind of problem with that. Like it doesn't seem like there are any other groups of people that use marriage as a tool to escape poverty. That doesn't seem like a realistic expectation for how people act.
So what you're saying is it's not a cognizant choice to, I'm going to get married, I'm going to get financially stable.
Correct. That typically
yes.
the marriage follows the financial stability.
Right. And then again, I've never believed that the intention to become financially stable is potentially the sole reason that a person would get married. There are other reasons that can be involved with that. Particularly in poverty, a person can benefit from becoming married, though. That is the argument.
It's possible, but it doesn't seem like people do that.
You mean people don't choose to do that?
Correct.
So, but people do this, and then they can become financially stable.
I guess it's theoretically possible, but it doesn't seem like... I mean, like, people could also become better off. Poor people could become better off if they would dedicate, 1 hour a day to reading books and studying and picking up a topic to self-educate, right? But this doesn't realistically...
Depending on the books, yes.
This doesn't really anything. I mean, but sure. But it seems like this doesn't really happen, right? So this isn't like you wouldn't just say like, well, everybody go and study your own stuff and then become self-educated, right? It doesn't seem like this is very realistic because nobody actually does that, right?
Right, and no one intends to do that, but that's what can happen if they choose that. And specifically as it relates to welfare. So poor people who are financially unstable, who for whatever reason get married and become stable, they are less likely to use welfare in marriage than they would as a single individual.
Probably, sure. But that might be because they're already more likely to be financially well off if they're married, so they already wouldn't be using welfare.
So in the statement that you said, I believe you're saying that they could have already been, so poor Black Americans in this particular example could already have been poor and financially stable, gotten married, maintained financial stability, and then not use welfare.
Wait, could you say that one more time?
Sure. So in this particular example, poor Black Americans who were financially stable get married, maintain financial stability, and choose not to use welfare.
Sure, because they don't need it, yeah. Or they wouldn't qualify for it or whatever, yeah.
And you believe this is an equal likelihood of poverty-stricken Black individuals being financially unstable, getting married, becoming stable in order to support a family in both cases. And then
compared between like white people and Black people?
In a comparison, what do you mean?
When you said equally likely, were we equally likely to what?
To the previous example of an individual being stable and then getting married, maintaining stability, choosing not to use welfare.
Sure.
So in comparison to that example, this example, which is unstable, married, becomes stable, chooses not to use welfare. So in one, there are two individuals with two like perspectives and goals unifying in order to develop a family together and making choices that would maintain that ideal, which is to develop a family. So you're saying that it is equally likely that these two individuals were totally able to support one half of a family before they got married. They get married, and then that's what they do.
Yes, I think so.
Is that your particular perspective, or is that the research?
That seems to be all the research that I've seen. It points to people having a degree of financial stability before ever getting married.
So why do people earn more when they're married?
Because they already had a likelihood to earn more before they were married. People that are married tend to see increases in wages once they're married. But I mean, these were people that were already on a good track already, like, right? Like these are people that were already going to be increasing their earnings, like.
So in your mind, these people are both parents are working at the same time?
They don't necessarily have to be, but they could be.
Okay, so in either scenario where a parent or where the father or the mother is working and the other parent is not, and then in the additional scenario where both are working, and in this particular example, they both have children, both groups of people, their income still rises.
Yeah, I would expect that. Based on everything I've said, I would expect that anybody that gets married, I would expect their income to continue to rise because they were already on a track where their income would be rising, which is why they got married.
So both of these individuals were on a track in which their income would rise.
Yeah.
And then they get married and their income rises.
Sure.
And it has nothing to do with the fact that they've made choices to ensure that their children will be taken care of.
So let's replace dollars with weight that you can lift, okay? Let's say that you have a weightlifting competition, okay? And there are people who, when they sign up one time, they lift a certain weight. When they sign up another time, they lift another weight, and it continues to go up through life, right? So let's say that we were to ask the question, like, is the general person signing up for a powerlifting competition stronger than the person not signing up for it? And the answer is yes, right? Well, that's because people that lift weight and do it and train in powerlifting are more likely to sign up for the competitions, right? So then if you were to say further on, okay, well, people that sign up for powerlifting competitions, not only are they lifting a lot of weight, but after they sign up for one, they continue to lift heavier and heavier. So it seems like lifting at these competitions is making them stronger. But that's not actually what's going on, right? The people that are signing up for these competitions, of course, are powerlifters, and they will continue to train throughout their life, right? It would be the same thing, right? Like you wouldn't say that if everybody just goes sign up for a powerlifting meet, that all of a sudden these guys are all now going to be lifting more. And if they would keep signing up for them, they're lifting more and more and more. No, the people signing up for these meets are in training and they continue to train. Much the same way that people that are already financially stable are getting married. And if you've got people that are already financially stable and have chosen marriage, they're probably going to continue to grow in their financial stability and they'll probably continue to grow their wealth. These are things that we would expect to happen, right? Does that?
Yes. So I assume what you're saying is there's no cause to assume that this would lead to the other?
Correct, that these are correlated with one another, but there is not necessarily a causal link.
In your example of two people who are financially stable coming together, then why doesn't the income double?
Well, because that's not generally how that works. I mean, I guess it's possible that it could. I don't know if it does, it doesn't. I don't know if that's factually true or not. But it's possible that in coming together, if they decide to form a family, maybe you get one stay-at-home parent. I don't know if the income doubles or not. Do you know how the income is generally impacted when people get married? I don't know if...
Well, specifically, the net worth in this particular example, I sent you the, what do you call that? The graph. Is
Wait,
roughly,
where at?
It would be on Twitter when I was blasting you with a bunch of different graphs.
Hold on. Can you send me another message on Twitter so it goes to the top? I get a lot of fucking...
Oh, no problem. 1 second.
Let me know when you send a message and I'll refresh it and look for the... Oh, that's true too. Doubling their income would assume that both parents make the same amount of money, which may not necessarily be true, but...
Okay, I sent it to your messages.
Yep, okay, gotcha. All right, so which link? The one that you just sent me?
Yes, I just sent you the graph.
Okay. Now, what is it that you want me to take from this?
Okay, so the single black individual, so you can look at the black male.
$7,900, I see that, yeah.
Roughly 1/3 of the married.
Single and then married. Yep, I see that, yeah.
So basically, you're saying that these two individuals that are financially stable prior become, they should, I guess, why would it increase so much if they were both financially stable after the union?
I mean, I can explain with an example if you want.
Yes. Go
okay. Let's say that you have 10 people, okay? And let's say that of these 10 people, let's say, we'll keep the numbers very basic. Let's say 9 of them make $100, okay? And let's say that one of them makes $10,000, right?
Yep.
Okay. So 900 plus 10,000 means that the average wages of these people is divided by 10 is $1,090, right? So that's our average wage between these people. Now let's say that the one guy making $10,000 goes on to get married, okay? If that one guy goes on to get married, then the average wages of the married people go up to $10,000, and the average wage of the unmarried people drops to $100, right? So now in this example, you wouldn't say that, how can there be such a huge increase between unmarried and married? There must be a causal effect, right? Because then I would say, well, no, that's correlated. It just happens to be that the very wealthy person is the one going on to get married, right? So in the example that you gave me, where the single male black income is $7,900 and the married is $31,500, it could be that if you were to force everybody to get unmarried in the black community, you would see the total average income rise, right? Because it's already the wealthier black people that are choosing to get married. It's not necessarily making them wealthier, right?
Okay, so in this particular example, we're talking about impoverished black individuals.
Sure.
So you're saying that the wealthier, impoverished black individuals are choosing to get...
but the graph you're giving me is just median wealth. It's not talking about poverty levels or anything. It's just median wealth.
As an example of how together their union produces more wealth than...
Well, but that graph doesn't... But the thing is, this graph doesn't tell us that. This graph tells us specifically that the median wealth in married black homes is $31,500. And then it says that the median wealth... I
shouldn't have said produces. Sure. Absolutely.
Well, produces implies a causal relationship. Right?
Absolutely.
And the graph also tells us that single black men have a median wealth of $7,900. It doesn't tell us whether or not becoming married will move you up to that married income. It doesn't establish a causal relationship at all.
No. Okay. So in this regard, as I understand what you're saying, is that I cannot say that it would produce this. That's fine. That's fair. What I can say is that in marriage, there is more wealth.
Sure.
So in being single, there is less wealth.
Sure.
So if you are financially stable and single, you would be less wealthy than you would if you were married.
We don't know that. That's not necessarily true.
Okay. You're right. That phrasing was bad.
Well, no, not the phrasing, the idea. It's not necessarily true. If you are single, we don't know that if becoming married will make you wealthier.
No, right. Absolutely not. But you could become wealthier.
Or you could become poor. No, not according to the statistic. The statistic doesn't tell us that. Remember, what you're trying to say is that, let's say that you're a single person earning $10,000. If you get married, your income could go up to $20,000, right? That's what you're trying to say, right?
I'm sorry, repeat that again.
Let's say that you're single, okay? If you're single and you get married, you could dramatically increase your wealth, right? Is what you're saying?
Okay. Dramatically, no, but increase, yes.
Sure. Okay. So you're implying there, when you say that, you're implying a causal relationship. You're saying that getting married will cause you to experience an increase in wealth, right? However, this particular graph doesn't establish a causal relationship. Again, let me break up another example. Okay. This is what I was trying to say earlier, but I couldn't figure out. Okay. Let's say, here's an example. People who opened a Roth IRA in their late 20s are more likely to be millionaires when they retire than people who didn't open a Roth IRA in their 20s, right? So let's say that I have those two figures, right? So people that start a Roth IRA at 28 are more likely to retire as a millionaire. People that don't are far less likely, right? If we have that data, all we have is that data. That's it. We can't say that if you open a Roth IRA in your 20s, that means that you'll become a millionaire. All we can say is that these things are correlated. And the reason why is because opening a Roth IRA doesn't necessarily make you a millionaire. Opening a Roth IRA and using that as part of a diversified portfolio that you constantly contribute to and allow it to grow over the years is what makes you a millionaire. Now, people that contribute to a diversified retirement plan probably have Roth IRAs, but just opening a Roth IRA in your late 20s doesn't make you a millionaire. Do you understand? So you couldn't just say that, well, if you're in your late 20s, then you open a Roth IRA, you're probably going to, increase your retirement income. Well, not necessarily. You're only looking at that correlation, right?
And what if you were to open a joint Roth IRA? Would that improve the likelihood of you becoming wealthy?
We don't know that. This graph doesn't make any causal, this graph doesn't establish any causal relationships.
There
right?
is only one relationship that I can tell, and that is married versus single. So
Sure.
the only thing we can say is that the difference between single and married is a union of two people.
No, we don't know that.
So you're saying married doesn't mean that two people are married?
But we don't know why they got married. Marriage
I don't
could
need
be
to know why they got married. I can just say that they are married, and they are, when married, have more wealth compared to single.
Okay. Do you think that playing golf makes you incredibly wealthy?
No.
No, but if you were to go into any golf club, you would probably find incredibly wealthy people there. That doesn't mean that playing golf makes you wealthy, though, right? It just means that the people at the golf course were probably already wealthy before they started playing. So you can't say that, well, we've established here that there is a large relationship between being wealthy and playing golf. Or I'm sorry, we can say that there's a relationship, but we can't say that there's a causal relationship between these two things, that playing golf will make you wealthy. Rather, what we can say is that if you're wealthy, you also play golf, right? We can't establish a causal relationship.
That would be entirely reasonable if there wasn't two factors involved in compared to one. So we're saying that two people working to pool their resources is not better than one person.
Well, but again, you're going on to draw, what you're doing is you're taking data and now you are creating hypotheses to explain it. But that is not explained in this particular data. Like, I could give several hypotheses for the golf thing. I could say playing golf makes you wealthier because when you play golf, you network better. Playing golf makes you wealthier because maybe playing golf activates parts of the brains that will make you make better investment decisions. Or I could hypothesize maybe it's just wealthy people that tend to play golf. These are all hypotheses, but they're not explained by the fact that most people that play golf are wealthy, right? There's no explanation within that data in and of itself. That you have to go deeper and ask more questions. Much the same way that when we see that married people make $31,500 in a black family and single black men make $7,900, all we know is that two black married people make more money than a single black person. But we don't know that if a single black person gets married, that he'll make more money. We don't necessarily know that because that would be establishing a causal relationship in data that doesn't support that argument.
Right, and we don't know that, but it suggests that there is potential.
Sure, it's a hypothesis, for sure. You can make that hypothesis, and then you would have to test that against different data. But you could never make that argument and use this data to support that argument because this data doesn't support it. This only points to a correlation. You would have to go deeper and draw from other data to establish a causal relationship.
You're saying that this graph does not suggest that marriage comes with increased income or net wealth?
Nope, it doesn't make any kind of suggestion whatsoever. No.
So this category of married people and the single people not related at all.
Correct. Much the same way that I could give you a graph of wealthy people that play golf, or I could make you a graph of golfers versus non-golfers. And I could make all the same arguments. The golfers would tend to be far more wealthy than the non-golfers, but you would never use that graph, that data to say, we'll just go play golf and you'll become more wealthy, right? And we're only talking about one thing there, just playing golf. Does that make sense?
I do understand where you're going with your golfing analogy. I believe that you're ignoring the fact that a married couple is two people. And if these were just 2 points of data, A, B, and C, then absolutely. Absolutely true. But we're talking about A and B and then A plus B.
Okay, but even A plus B, even if I was to accept that hypothesis, even that's not supported here. Because if I look at single men, $7,900, and I look at the black married family, there's more income there that's not even explained by that A plus B hypothesis, right?
Absolutely.
If I take the black woman and man and I add them together, right, we barely hit 20,000, but the average of the married or cohabitating black people is like 38,000. So that even that
you would not be able to explain where the wealth came from, how it came from, but you wouldn't be able to do that. But if you understand that A plus B equals higher wealth, or the potential for higher wealth.
But we don't even. But again, you're making assumptions that this data just doesn't provide that. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm not trying to say that you're right or wrong. I'm not making a value statement on your argument. I'm just trying to make you understand that what you're saying right now is a hypothesis that you need different data to support, because this data is, you're never going to get that argument from this data.
No, yeah. If that's what you're intending, then I never intended for this to be absolute. I mean, first of all, this study is outdated. Secondly,
well, even outdated is irrelevant. Like, this could be entirely possible. Okay, it may be possible that getting married actually reduces your household wealth. I could give you numbers that would still work, right? Let's say that people that make 100,000 or more get married, and let's say that people that make 10,000 or less don't get married. Let's say that when two people who make 100,000 get married, maybe one person stops working and becomes a stay-at-home parent while the other one continues to work, and his income goes up to 120,000, right? So their wealth actually drops to 60,000 on average for each person, right? Their wealth would go from both making 100,000, then they get married, one guy gets a little bit more money, the other person stops working, and now they make on average 60,000. Right? Well, their wealth just dropped. However, in comparison to the single people who are making less than 10,000 who don't get married, it seems like the married people are making way more than the single people. And you might say, well, maybe getting married, but maybe getting married, right, greatly increases your income, but that might actually not be true, right? We just don't have the data to support that. There's a million different ways that we could establish that causal links could exist here, but this data doesn't speak to any of that. The only thing we can take from this data is that people that are married tend to have more money than people that aren't married. We don't know if getting married increases your money or decreases it. We don't know if staying single increases or decreases it. We don't know if getting married is an effective way. We have no idea. This data doesn't support any of those arguments.
I can see where you're coming from. I guess in some sense, yes, this data would not support the argument that you have presented.
Sure. Well, can you tell me what you disagree? Because we have to square this away, I guess, before we move on. What do you disagree with?
That this can suggest something.
Sure.
Marriage can improve wealth, and this comes from census data. I believe the 2000.
Okay, so when you say that something can suggest something, what that is what it's suggesting there is a hypothesis that needs to be tested, right?
Yes, right.
So
absolutely.
let me give an example that I learned in psych class, right? Kids that sleep longer, okay, do better in school than kids that don't, right? Now, that suggests that getting more sleep can help you in school, right? So then let's say that we do a socioeconomic breakdown of kids that sleep, right? Let's say that when we do that, that hypothesis falls apart completely, and you find that wealthy kids, no matter how much sleep they get, always do much better than poor kids, no matter how much sleep they get, right? So what we find out there upon more data analysis is that poorer people tend to do worse in school than wealthier people, but wealthier people tend to get more sleep than poorer people, right? So we get a stronger argument, then we get a new hypothesis that maybe it's wealth that is more indicative of success in school than sleep, but wealthier people tend to sleep more than poorer people, right? So our initial data might have pointed us to sleeping more makes you get better grades, but then when we test that hypothesis and pull specific data in regards to that, what we actually find is, okay, well, it wasn't the sleep thing, that was just a correlated effect of another variable that when we modify that, we see dramatic differences in data, right?
Okay, and where you were going with that, I get what you intended. But I disagree with the way you did it, and also I didn't catch all of it. So maybe I'm mistaken, but I get what you're saying. I'm only talking about a suggestion. I'm not talking about this is absolutely concrete going to do this.
Well, I'm just trying to make sure because I'm using I'm not trying to sound pretentious, but I'm using very scientific words here, right? When you say a suggestion, right? When I say suggestion, I mean a hypothesis. So a hypothesis is just an idea with no validity, nothing behind it at all. It's literally just a possible or plausible explanation for data that needs more testing to verify it. When I say suggestion or hypothesis, I don't mean like this is a likely cause or this is a likely explanation. I mean that it is literally just a hypothesis that exists that needs further data to verify its authenticity, that it has no weight in being right or wrong. You can't assign a right or wrong or percentage probability to it whatsoever. It's only a suggestion, right? But I feel like when you say suggestion, you're meaning it to mean a little bit more than that. that it's a highly possible explanation.
So, your hypothesis is the beginning of an experiment. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Well, typically what you do is you start out with a hypothesis, and then you do an experiment to prove the results, right? And then you'll retest and redefine your experiment, or refine your experiment based on what it is you're specifically testing.
Are you familiar with?
Or sorry, go ahead.
Are you familiar with the discussion or conclusion section of academic papers?
Sure.
Usually those are used to postulate the results.
Generally, usually in the discussion section, usually they'll talk about the data that they went over. They'll talk about the conclusions that you could draw from that data. They might talk about potential weaknesses in the data and further exploring points from that data, depending on exactly what you're reading, but sure.
This is a conclusion that you could draw from the data.
No, I don't think so.
If you have a lower number and their relationship is marriage, so you have two low numbers and the highest number is related through marriage, then potentially that is an answer, that marriage can produce this higher number.
Yeah, but I could also give an answer that getting married reduces your income, and
not using this data.
But you can't. But it would be equally likely to yours, because again,
If you can find the data, then yes, absolutely.
Well, but the problem is you don't have the data to support the argument that you're making.
That marriage has a higher wealth value associated with it.
That becoming married will give you a higher wealth value. You don't have any data to support that claim.
Okay, so how would you get a higher wealth value using this data?
Sure. So here, let's say, okay, so what you said is a valid hypothesis. So let's say that my hypothesis after looking at this is, okay, I think that if two people become married, I think that they will increase their wealth, right? So the way that, and if they're actually...
will.
What?
You said will increase. I'm saying
correct.
Could.
Well, I'm saying will. I'll go. I want to make it stronger. I'll say will. That's my hypothesis. I think it will increase. I think there's a high statistical probability that that'll happen. Right? If there are statisticians in chat or whatever that think they have a better way of doing this, feel free to tell me. But one way that maybe I could test this is I want to take 1,000 black people. Okay, 500 married black people and 500 single black people, and I want to track their wealth from when they were born, right? So what I'll do is I will track black people's wealth from the minute they're born up until 10 years post-marriage, and then I'll look at the differences between married people and single people, right? So what I would hope to find here, is, do you have my stream on, or?
What do you mean by stream on?
Or okay, never mind. I'm sorry. Wait, are you familiar? Do you know that I'm live streaming right now?
Yeah, I'm familiar with it.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't know if you had it on or not. If you were watching it. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me explain this, okay?
I'm not watching it.
Okay. So let's say that we broke these up into two groups of people, okay? Imagine that we have a blue line and an orange line, okay?
Okay.
So let's say that the blue line was people who get married, and the orange line is people who stay single, okay?
Okay.
Right? So let's say that we're tracking lifetime wealth, okay? Let's say that blue line and orange line are neck and neck, okay? They're exactly equal up to age 5, age 10, age 15, age 20. And then let's say at age 25, when the orange line, when the people, did I say orange was married? Let's say that people start to get married, all of a sudden you see that orange line massively break away from the blue line and continue on, right? That kind of data would start to point towards very strong causal relationships between marriage and income, right? That data would start to show that. You could start to make arguments that these people started at now you would have to go even further and control for more confounding variables to really make that statement, but now you've controlled for wealth from birth, and you can start to say, okay, these people had the same level of wealth up until their 20s when they got married, and now you see that wealth diverging a significant amount. Now this is the kind of data that you can start to say, like, okay, this is good for further research. Like, let's go here. Now, let's say that we started to gather this data, but instead, let's say that we found something very different. Let's say that the blue non-marrieds start off at a very low point and the orange marrieds start off at a very high point. And let's say that from age 5, we can already see significant gaps in their wealth. We go to 10, there's still a significant gap, 15, 20, and then when we get into their 20s and 30s, when they start to get married, there's still that same significant gap, and that gap doesn't really change much, right? if that ends up being the data, well, now our argument that getting married increases your wealth is severely weakened, because now it seems like getting married was just an effect of already having a lot of wealth in their early childhood. So now that causal relationship is incredibly diminished and almost destroyed by that kind of data. Would that kind of, like, going for that kind of data, do you see how that could show one of two very different scenarios?
Yes, I could see how that data could.
Yeah. So like that kind of data would be, and you see how if we go by that data, both of those data sets could both be used to present this type of graph, right? That married people have much more money than unmarried people, right? But both of those different data sets could both produce this kind of graph. But both of those data sets say very different things about the likelihood of getting married to increase your wealth versus just being wealthy and then getting married, right?
Yes, if those particular data sets existed, yeah, they could both be.
Sure. So that's why I'm saying, and because both of those data sets are, we could say, equally likely, we can't point to one or the other, could produce this data set, we can't really say that this data set makes a strong argument in favor of anything having to do with getting married and becoming wealthier, would be what I'm saying.
So you're saying that if a complementary data set told you something else that could simulate this particular example, then you wouldn't be able to use this example?
Well, no, this example, this data set tells us something. It does tell us how much wealth people have who are married or whatever. It just doesn't establish a causal relationship. We would have to find different data to establish that, is what I'm saying.
Right. It does not establish a causal relationship. It suggests that there could be.
Well, or there could not be. We need more data to find out. It doesn't really give us a strong indication.
There always could not be, but according to what is in the graph, it suggests that there could be. So that the hypothesis would be that yes, there would be. The null hypothesis would be no, there wouldn't be.
Well, but it could equally suggest that people who are wealthy just get married, right? Much the same way that, again, you're using outside information to make this decision by what you understand to be true about marriage. You're using outside information.
Why would their net worth not be comparable to that of marriage? If they
Well,
were
all I'm saying is that if I showed you the golf thing, you wouldn't make the same statement. You would say that, like, oh, no way, these are correlated, these aren't causal, right? But you would be doing that with outside.
In the golf example, I would not do that.
Yeah, you would be doing it with outside inferencing. You wouldn't be able to say that because of the data, just because of outside things that you know, right? You wouldn't be able to use that data to make that claim. You would be using extra meta stuff to make that claim.
Okay, at the very least, we can both agree that there is a suggestion. It's not concrete that people who are married have a greater net wealth than those people who are single.
No, it could suggest either thing. It doesn't suggest a causal relationship in one way or another. All we can say from this data is that people who are married are wealthier. That's all we can say. We can't say that getting married might make you wealthier. That would be a hypothesis. I
believe that's what I said.
Okay, so as long as we understand that that is a totally unfounded statement that is not supported by this data, that you would need to find more data to support, then I can agree.
Which statement would be unfounded?
That getting married could increase your wealth. That statement is not supported in this data at all. We would have to go and find... We would have to do completely different data collections to actually get that.
Okay. See, the only issue I have is that you've been arguing that these two financially stable individuals that come together and get married produce a financially stable union. Is that correct?
Sure.
So what you're suggesting is that couldn't happen.
That what couldn't happen?
Two financially stable people coming together and having more wealth together.
Uh-huh.
You're saying that couldn't happen if that's what you're intending.
It could happen, but I'm just saying that that's not what this data in particular is talking about.
Right. I'm saying this data in particular shows people with lesser financial wealth, and then other people who are married with a greater amount of wealth.
Yes.
So I'm not saying that these two individuals who are the statistical representations of the single male, single female are the ones who are getting married. They're being compared against those who are married. And when compared against those who are married, they have lesser wealth.
Sure.
Okay, so
that we're saying that the people that are married have more wealth than the people that aren't married, right?
that's correct. And the only thing separating those two people, these particular data sets, is that the data set where they are married, they're married. The data sets where they are single, they are single.
Well, there could be other things. That's the only variable we know, but that doesn't mean what et
That is
ceteris
the only
paribus or
variable
whatever.
presented. That's
Yeah,
correct.
we don't know that they're not from different financial backgrounds or something else, or from a different geographic location. We don't know any of that. That's not being measured.
Well,
in
we
this.
know their ethnicity as well.
Yeah, but that doesn't really tell us much.
There's ranges in their ethnicity.
Sure.
That's what that would tell us.
Okay.
So basically, I'm saying that if you're saying that individuals could be financially stable before they get married, then their net wealth together would increase.
Yeah, probably.
So if individuals are financially unstable and they get married, their net wealth could increase.
It's possible, sure. That's a possible hypothesis, yeah.
So in this particular example, a majority of the people who are single have a lesser net wealth than the people who are married.
In this particular example, yes.
So a person who has a lesser net wealth than two people working together to produce their net wealth, what is their likelihood of meeting that same net wealth? I guess that would be a poor example of a question. And never mind that particular one. We agree up to this point, I trust.
Okay, I think so.
So, at the very least, would you agree that, in moving back to the original point, that people getting married, even if they're financially stable, right, before they get married, or in my example, they're not financially stable and they get married, their wealth working together could increase?
Well, it could, but that's only a hypothesis. We don't have the numbers to prove that.
Okay. In another graph I sent you on Twitter, I'll send it again. We have the average earnings. I believe it's the average earnings.
Let me know when you send it, and then I'll look at it.
Okay, I sent it. It's the median net worth of households with children.
All right, hold on one second. Okay. Median net worth of households with children by family structure. Okay?
So in this particular example, we see that people who are married are once again on top.
Mm-hmm.
The statistic in which an individual, or a female, I assume, is widowed, because the verb is used for women, would be a noun, I think, actually. Anyways, except for widowed, and then you get into insurance and whatnot. They're the wealthiest in this particular example, but married and step family are on top.
Okay.
So, I guess to begin with, what would this suggest to you?
This tells me that married people have more money in general than, I guess, non-married people. Wait, what exactly median net worth? So never married people have a $400 median net worth? Is that what this is saying?
That is correct.
Median net worth of households with children. Oh, this is median net worth of households with children by
Yes.
family structure. Okay. So this is talking about the median net worth of your household if you have children based upon your family structure. Sure.
Okay. So as you can see, there are no like single individuals without children, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in this example, we have children and we have people either in a relationship, separated from a relationship,
Mm-hmm.
never married. Assuming never married is not in a relationship,
Okay.
then we can clearly see that the people who are married and have stayed together or have managed new relationships with step family members are generally better off than those people in different types of unions.
Correct.
So with using this to help us sort of guide our knowledge in general, because we don't have a culmination of the races statistic, what would this suggest to you?
It could suggest many things that would need further data testing. All of our previous argumentations are present here, right? This could say that maybe married people that always stay intact, maybe wealthier marriages produce more stability. Or it could also say that maybe once you get married and you stay together, maybe you become wealthier. Both are equally plausible. We cannot make an argument for one over the other using this data set. This one has all the other problems of the previous data set.
Well, I see it as one solution to this data, to the previous data set.
Sure, but I could give you an equally valid solution in the exact opposite way. I mean, no matter what solution you give me, I can give you an equally valid solution the other way, because this data doesn't apply any causal link.
Cohabitation does not result in the same outcomes as marriage in this particular statistic.
I don't like that phrasing, but I guess you could say that, yes?
Okay. So compared to the other statistic that we had, where it was a combining of cohabitation and marriage, we can determine based off of this particular, I guess not determine, but it does suggest that marriage is unique from cohabitation.
Sure. I mean, it's different. I mean, it gives you a different median net worth.
And even though the children are present in cohabitation, in this statistic presents, we see that marriage is still unique.
Okay.
So the benefit to marriage over cohabitation, and it is present, would you say?
It seems to be that married people tend to do better than cohabitating people. That seems to be true, yeah?
And then what about divorced? Would you agree as well?
It seems to be. The data says that, yeah?
Okay. So in the original point that Sargon presented, marriage improving the lives of the people who maintain marriages.
We don't know that, though. Again, you've made the misstep into giving a causal. So this, you remember when we learned like the who, what, where, when, why, and how? All these graphs tell us are what. They don't explain the why. We can see that people that are married and they always stay together tend to have more money than people that are divorced or never married, but we don't know the why for that. That requires further exploration and more data.
Yes, I agree. I was just recapping the statement that Sargon made.
Okay.
Yeah. So, in the statement that Sargon made, that marriage could improve the impoverished situation of
sure. And my problem with his statement was there is no data to support that I'm aware of. I've never heard of any data to support that. And that the data that I've seen tends to support the opposite, that it seems to be that wealthy people tend to produce stable marriages, not that stable marriages produce wealthy people.
So this data that suggests that married people have a higher worth, household worth with children, does not support the idea that married poor people could have a higher net worth in households with children.
Correct. No, it doesn't. Not at all. Much the same way, because here's an argument that I could make using this data set. If you want to become very wealthy, what you should do is you should marry as young as possible and then kill your spouse, because widowed people make way more money, have a much higher median net worth than anybody else, right? That could be That could be a hypothesis that would have just as much merit as your hypothesis, that getting married in your early 20s and then killing your spouse would give you a ton of money, right? Or
Well, I
here's
don't know
another
about the
argument.
20s, just in
Well,
general,
sure.
killing your spouse and getting away
well,
with
I could even say
yes.
in their 20s, because this isn't talking about age. Here's another argument that I can make from this graph. Let's say that I'm in a household and we have
Are
never...
you saying that you can
What?
talk about it because it's not mentioned?
No, I'm just saying that this graph you can draw all sorts of hypotheses from this graph, but we don't have any. All of these are equally valid. Like, here's another valid hypothesis that I could draw from this. Let's say that you've got a household living together, and these people have never been married, and their median net worth sucks. They could go to the courthouse, get married, and then get divorced the next day, and it'll bump up their stuff by $30,000. It'll bump up their median net worth. They could get married and divorced in a single day, and they would massively increase their net worth. Right? That's a hypothesis that I could form off of this. But like, none of this is specifically talked about in this data set, right? I would need more data to make any of these statements. All of these statements are equally likely with the statement, if people would just get married and stay together, that they would be so much wealthier, right? All of these are equally valid explanations given this set of data.
Valid in what sense? Because as I understand, saying that they get married, it goes along with the data that's presented. There is no additional information. I'm saying poor people getting married increased, or not increased, but a higher net worth, or a higher net household worth with children.
So when you say things like it sounds like I'm being really pedantic, but when you say things like increased, you're drawing...
I corrected increased, not increased, just a higher net worth.
So married people that always stay together have a higher net worth by median than people that do not stay together, right? We agree with that,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Now, a hypothesis could be that getting married and staying together leads to that, but that's only a hypothesis. And an equally valid hypothesis, until we do more testing, could be that wealthier people are the ones that tend to stay together. Both of those are equally likely, and both of those are just as supported by this data as any other hypothesis that is supported by this data. But we cannot draw any causal relationships without exploring more, without getting more numbers.
There would be no causal relationship required, because we're saying poor people getting married and staying together, which would apply to married and always intact.
But we don't know that. Like, there are other variables here. We're talking about ancillary variables that exist here that could be impacting this. For instance, let's say that we did another measurement, okay? Let's say that we did another measurement. I had access to all this data and I magically dug out, okay? Let's say that the married, always intact people, let's say that the median household income, I'll do median, MHIC. Let's say the median household income, oh wait, you're not watching, I'm sorry. Let's say that the median household income of the married, always intact people at age 0 was $500,000, okay? That they were all born wealthy. Let's say that the median average income of the never married people was $10,000. They were all born poor, okay, at age 0, right at birth, okay? If I were to make if I knew that data, okay, if I knew that data existed, right, I would never make the statement that, well, if you just get married, you'll jump up to this wealth level, because now the data doesn't support that at all, because we see that these people were always wealthy. Getting married didn't change their lot in life. It's just something that wealthy people do, right? Much the same way that if I were to draw the data and it were to show me something different, that married, always intact came from a very diverse background of wealth, and the never married came from a very diverse background of wealth, and they all converged on these wealth levels, then I could make a much stronger argument that getting married increases your wealth, right?
Yes.
Okay, but this data as it stands on its own does not really point us in any direction. It only gives us it only kind of gives us...
No, absolutely. It does not point us absolutely in any direction, no. But it suggests, again, that married people who are impoverished could be at a greater wealth than people who are never married. For all you know, they are already a part of this statistic.
I mean, I disagree. It doesn't. It's not even that I disagree. It doesn't. You can't make that statement. The data just doesn't support it.
So basically what I'm saying is, let's just say that there's poor people, right, who were married in 2007 could they be a part of the married, always intact statistic? Poor people with children, married, 2007. How do you know they're not already a part of the statistic?
I don't, but you don't either. We don't have
married,
that data.
But they qualify. They're married and they're intact.
Yeah, but we don't have that data. We don't know this.
Then who are these people in these statistics?
Wait, I mean, like, you don't have statistics showing me what percentage of people that were poor in 2007 or whatever that are married, always intact. We don't have that breakdown.
It's a median, so it's all of them added together and divided.
Oh, yeah.
So that means that the poor are with the rich?
Yeah.
You're arguing against the possibility of the poor already being in this statistic.
I don't necessarily think so.
If the only qualifying factor to be a part of the statistic is to be married and have children in a household and to earn money, then they could be already in this statistic.
Yeah, they could, but I mean, in general, more wealthy people are in the married, always intact group, right?
Which is why you see how high it is. It doesn't reflect the median national average. It reflects a higher income, doesn't it not?
Okay.
I mean, you mentioned that more wealthy people are married with children, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, the national average for 2007, I believe, was around, I want to say 60,000 or so. As we can see, the married and always intact is much higher.
Okay. But we still don't know if it's just because wealthy people get married. We still don't know that.
Oh, I'm not saying to any which way. I'm just saying that, as you mentioned before, there are more married wealthy people, or per capita, more married wealthy people with, and I assume, children, which is why this particular number is nowhere close to the average earnings of the United States in 2007. So I'm saying these wealthy people are in this statistic, but it is also including the poor.
Okay.
So for me to say that poor people would be who qualify in the married and always intact with children would be at a greater level of wealth than an individual who is never been married is supported by the fact that they would be included. If you were to include their income and everything, they would be included.
Yeah, but
in
you're
the
talking
category.
about outliers now. Like, yeah, I mean, I sure, there could be poor people who are married, always intact, that have more money than the never married people, but you're talking outliers, right? The median clearly tells us that in general, people make much more money who are married, always intact.
No, it wouldn't necessarily be an outlier. I mean, if you were to compare...
Wait. What the median says that their wealth is $228,000. So if you're talking about very poor people, these are outliers. Like...
if we were talking about very poor, yes.
So
basically, I'm pointing out that I was only mentioning that they would be a part of the category, and
yeah, the outliers will always be part, but outliers are part of the category and the never married as well. I mean, I'm sure there could be very wealthy people that are never married and make a lot of money. I mean, I've never been married to my child's mom, but I mean, I probably make more money than the average American.
I believe that the comparison was you were making around 100K to her 30K when she was working part-time.
Something like that, yeah.
So in this particular example, it would be a comparison of the married and always intact poor and never married poor. That's why it wouldn't be outliers. They would be outliers together. And because it's a comparison of these outliers in the same category, it would just be a comparison of that category.
Sure.
So all I was pointing out was that the poor would be, and in this particular example, if they are always intact and they are poor, would you expect them to be at a higher wealth than the never married poor?
Wait, I'm sorry. Could you ask that one more time?
Sure. if they are poor, married, and always intact, would you expect them to be at a higher level of wealth than the never married poor?
Probably, yeah.
So then you can agree that in this particular statistic, it supports the idea that poor married people would be at a higher level of wealth than the people who were never married.
Yeah, sure. Of course, sure.
Okay. So you mentioned that you never saw a statistic supporting the idea that poor would be better off married.
Well, because because every statement that you just said was true, but if you were to go one step further and make the statement that getting married will increase your median net worth, that isn't supported by this data. Nothing that we just said implied that.
Well, the only thing that would imply it would be that the statistic was about people married with children.
Well, no, we would have to dig into socioeconomic backgrounds and whatnot. Like we would have to go like time horizons
to get
and
a
whatnot.
Totally accurate.
Well, to get even an implication of that. Right now, there is no suggestion in this that
an implication is merely a suggestion, and that is what this is a suggestion.
No, but again, when we say suggestion, you're talking about a baseless hypothesis that demands further investigation. Again, you can argue that being wealthy tends to produce stable marriages that are always intact, and being poor tends to produce people that don't get married, much with equal credibility as you could contend that getting married increases wealth. We need more data, right? These are correlated things. We do not have causal links established or even suggested. Or if you say suggestion, then they're suggested in the way that, like, this is a hypothesis that demands further investigation, but we would never argue this using this data. We need different types of data.
How many data points in various different studies across time would you need to see a pattern?
Well, a pattern doesn't give us a causal link. We need to control for confounding variables. We need to like dig in and really find. Like I gave you an example earlier of like showing wealth over a person's lifetime, and then stacking the average wealth of a non-married person and then an average wealth of a married person from age 0 and going to age 40. That would show us that would give us a strong argument on what marriage can do well.
Okay, I see the disconnect here. I'm not saying that getting married will do this. I'm saying that if you are married,
less
you
than
could
3 destiny
do this.
BTW median and average.
Okay, but you could
totally
also
different.
not.
Yeah, you could absolutely could also not.
All of these explanations are equally valid.
The only way you can fulfill the potential that is present in these statistics would be to become married.
Maybe. I
So
don't know.
if
I don't
you
think.
wanted
Destiny
if you wanted
BTW
to,
median and
get
average
into
are
a
totally
higher,
different.
Income bracket, right? If you wanted to do that, how would you do that alone?
If what?
If you wanted to get into a higher income bracket, how would you do that by yourself?
Making more money?
Get a better job, get a raise, make more money. How would you do that with another person?
Start a business?
You could do it that way.
Or
Or both of you could work, and then you could pool your wealth.
you could?
You could take on a more risky assignment while the other one takes on more responsibilities at home, so you don't have to worry about that.
Sure.
You could pool all your...
Sure, these are all possible explanations, but none of this is supported by the data. Everything that you just said is plausible, but we need different data to support that.
Yes, but the idea is that the only way that you would do this is by, other than getting a raise, would be through the assistance of another person.
I mean, you could do it by going back to school. You could do it by getting a big promotion. You could do it by moving to a different geographic area. You could do it by picking up a different type of work.
Yeah, I mean, these are all possibilities, but supported by the statistics I presented, that you could be at a level. The only thing separating you is that you're not married.
Wait, what? Say that again?
Okay. You could be at a higher level of wealth if you pooled it with another person.
Okay, but you don't necessarily know that. You could be.
No. Yeah, I'm not saying that you can know it. I'm just saying that the only thing that separates the single people from
Widowed
the married
families
people,
have the
or the
highest net
cohabitating
worth.
people,
So, because
and the
correlation
never
equals
married people,
causation,
is the fact
we
that
just
they are
need
in
to
a
shoot one
relationship
parent in
with
every
another person,
home.
and then have children that can support children.
Sure. I feel like we're looking at this differently. I don't know. I don't think we're necessarily going to come to an agreement on this. Yeah, I don't know, because it kind of feels like we're running in circles now on a lot of this. Yeah, I don't know. Was there? I guess I feel I'm not trying to be rude and cut it off, but it kind of feels like we're running around a lot in circles here. Is there anything else necessarily that you wanted to go over, or? Wait, hello, can you hear me?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh.
I guess my last point was that immigration can potentially affect black marriage suitorship.
What do you mean by that?
So, are you familiar with Borjas?
Yeah.
Okay. In 2009, he performed a study, Immigration and the Economic Status of African American Men.
Okay.
He discovered that 10% increase in immigration can potentially result in a 2.5% reduction of black wages.
Okay.
5.9% reduction of black unemployment.
Okay.
And a 0.13% increase in incarceration.
Okay.
So, because a majority of black men have lesser education than black women, and black women tend to seek within their own race when they are choosing a partner, and they tend to seek individuals of equal or higher education and economic status, but have been statistically recently choosing to marry down, as so to speak, that the immigration or influx in immigration can potentially reduce suitorship for black people who are of a lower, who are in the market of lower skilled wage.
Okay.
Or lowered skilled work, I'm sorry.
Sure. So where are we going with this?
Sorry. Before we got sidetracked on the particular issue of whether marriage benefits could benefit poverty, the original point was that the factors that affect black marriage, and you have apparently historically approved of rampant influxes in immigration to improve market value.
I don't know. Rampant is a pretty strong word. It seems to have a moral assignment to it, but I am in general in favor of immigration. Yeah, in favor of helping labor markets. Yeah.
Squeeze Tiny,
So,
buckle up, boys.
As I understand it, you have used Borjas in the past to support your example.
Yeah.
And Borjas has repeatedly mentioned that there would be a cost to the increase of immigration to a market.
Yes.
Do you remember
and a
what that
benefit
was?
as well. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Benefit, yeah. But do you remember the cost?
It seems, in what I've read of Borjas, it seems like he claims that the cost generally comes at, I think the specific group that he uses is no high school education, low skilled, 18 to 24 workers or whatever. I think is what he says is like the most impacted group or something like that.
Are you aware that in the United States, black Americans hold
disproportionately fill out that group?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
So essentially, you have also mentioned that you are disapproving of the sort of inherent bias present in the system.
Sure.
And this bias results in disadvantagement for minorities, specifically black individuals that lack access to education and opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess in this particular example, this is something that would directly impact, or at least partially impact, the or affect the low black
Yeah.
marriage.
But
So-
sure, but I would say that like my goal here wouldn't be protectionist policy to protect low-skilled jobs, but it would be to raise the skills of the average black employee would be the goal here.
So you're saying that the idea would be to
Raise
the
black
skill.
education levels and job skill rather than enact protectionist policy to protect their wages.
Are you familiar with Borjas's collaboration with oh man, sorry, knocked over something. Professor Ito and Rapo.
What about it, or what specifically?
They discovered that the usage of the minimum wage protects the reduction or the loss of native workers in a particular area.
Okay.
One of the things that you mentioned, or at least I believe that you were in support of, was the elimination of the minimum wage.
Maybe. I'm not entirely sure, but my inner Econ 101 tells me yes, but...
Okay. So I guess the thing I was going to point out was that immigration can potentially affect the outcomes of black marriages. You have been, you said you don't support protectionist policy.
In general, no.
Okay. But you mentioned that you think that is an important thing to discover the problems in a system that would be disadvantaging black people. Is this correct?
Yeah.
And if this is one of these potential problems that could arise, wouldn't it be better not to do it?
No. I would seek to remedy problems in the black community than hurt the entire country in order to protect a problem that needs to be...
You mentioned education. Who would be educated? Would it be the adult people?
Sure, or new children in the black community?
And if they were not interested in education or weren't capable?
Why would they be incapable of education?
Low-skilled labor?
Well, I mean, white people are capable of being educated and attaining high-skilled labor. Mexicans, Asians, all other groups are. Why wouldn't black people be capable of high-skilled labor or education?
It's not a matter of capability. It's just a matter that they would already be qualifying for low-skilled labor, which means that they would have inherent disadvantages to gaining more education, or they would have done so.
Sure, so maybe if we can find sections of black people that would benefit from some type of funding or whatever that would get them involved in schools more, or some kind of financial assistance there, I think I would more prefer that than...
So you're talking about... I'm sorry, go ahead.
I would more prefer something like that rather than hurting the entire economy by enacting protectionist policy.
So, so bringing in unskilled labor from a different country to compete with the unskilled labor that is native, which would be largely affecting the black community, would not be something that you would support.
I'm sorry, could you say that one more time?
I'm sorry, my mistake. Would be something that you support. Okay. So bringing in low-skilled labor from other countries to compete with native low-skilled labor.
Yeah, it's generally something I support, yes.
Okay, and it doesn't matter that it would disproportionately affect the black community and then thereby disproportionately affect the suitorship or the suitorability of the black community.
No, I mean, that's a problem, but I would hope to remedy that by fixing problems in the black community, as I said before, I think.
Okay, but that would be creating a problem that you would have to fix.
Well, it's already a problem that black people disproportionately represent low-skilled labor. That's already a problem that exists that needs to be fixed.
Right. You say it's a problem, right?
Yes.
Okay. And how do you know?
Because I don't believe that there is an inherent difference between the races that would explain why one race or ethnicity of people should disproportionately have low-skilled labor compared to another race or ethnicity of people.
Okay, an inherent difference between the races. You mean genetically?
Sure.
Okay. What about culturally?
I mean, we're all American, so...
Yeah. Are you a Black American?
No.
Okay. Do you understand that there would be a difference between a Black American or a Native American American or a white American?
Sure, but cultural differences, cultural things can all be changed by, different types of policy and whatnot as well, regardless.
Culture can be changed by policy.
Yeah.
Can you give me an example?
Cigarette smoking. How old are you?
I'm 30.
Okay, so then you remember when we were growing up, okay, I'm 28. Cigarette smoking was ubiquitous in the United States. You could go to any restaurant, anywhere, and you would smell smoke all the time. I don't know what you do for fun now. I guess if you go to like a casino, you could still smell it, but it's very, very, very rare to see people smoking, right? And I know that there were a lot of different types of both public and private policy that pushed people towards making these decisions, right? There were different laws enacted that made it illegal to smoke in places that served food. There were different government-funded public programs that discouraged people from smoking, the Surgeon General warnings and all that. That would be an example of something that was heavily changed in our culture, right? Smoking was very much a culture thing. If you were a cool cowboy or a cool action hero, you were always smoking, and now that seems to be largely absent from our culture.
You're saying smoking is no longer cool?
I don't think so, no. Vaping is the new smoking, but no, I don't. Right, would you disagree with that? I don't really see in action movies. In action movies, you would always expect like the dude to light up or whatever. Like smoking used to be like a really cool, especially if you go back to like the cowboy movies. Like everybody had a fucking cigar, the John Wayne cigar hanging out their mouth and everything. Like that used to just be a super classic thing. But now it seems like that's not really a cultural thing as much anymore. And you even find like it's not like this is what the parents say are hip, but you find like young people saying things like, "Oh no, smoking is disgusting."
Okay, so you're saying the culture of this particular you would admit that it's a net negative thing that
right now,
smoking.
Yeah, black culture is cancerous as fuck in black communities. I don't think anybody would disagree with that, but black culture is not endemic.
Wait, hold on. I was talking about cigarettes. You said black culture is cancerous as fuck?
Yeah, sure.
No, I'm just referring to cigarettes.
Yeah, sure, cigarettes is bad too, right? But I understand what you're getting at, right? That the black culture of not liking education, of dealing drugs, or all of that, that's a very bad thing, sure. But I don't think that culture is endemic to or intrinsic to black people, right?
I was not going to mention that.
Oh, well, then why are you talking about culture?
Okay, so specifically what I was referring to in black culture is that it's directly affected by the systemic system that is already in place. So not necessarily to the point of racism. I don't agree with the idea that there is what people would call racism built into the system. No. What I think is that there are things that disproportionately affect black people, whether it is a impersonal mechanism of a bureaucratic system that needs at least a high school education to navigate, or the child support laws that are present across the United States. These things have resulted in a negative effect on culture, which has adapted to allow for these things to happen and for people to be generally good people regardless, or to be viewed as decent people.
What do we disagree about then?
So, I'm not really sure your black culture cancer statement. I'm not sure in that particular regard, but what I'm saying is that, for example, as it comes to education, black men do not seek education as frequently as black women. How would you fix a culture that has black women succeeding and black men less successful?
I don't know. I would have to figure out. I don't know why black men don't go to school.
So how are you going to fix something if you don't know why it's happening?
Collect data. Maybe it's disproportionate. I don't know. You would have to ask a sociologist. Maybe it's disproportionate treatment in the justice system. Maybe it's geography. Maybe the areas that black people live in tend to have less opportunities for employment or education. Maybe it has to do with how we fund education. Maybe poor black neighborhoods don't get the property taxes they need to fund their schools. I don't know the answer to any of these like very, very particular topics,
exactly.
But I would ask.
But which would you do first? Increase immigration to improve the economy, or figure these questions out and then increase?
This is a false dilemma. We don't have to. We can enact. But government is a very flexible, robust thing. We can do multiple things simultaneously. We don't have to just do one and then do the other. That's not how government works.
Okay, but we're not talking about government. We're talking about worsening a population's outcomes for profit.
Okay, but why we could do both at the same time? We could explore issues in the black community while increasing the economy overall. Like, I mean,
So you're saying we can explore issues in the black community while also reducing the black community. We do them both at the same time.
sure, yeah.
But here's the thing: when you reduce the wages of black individuals at low skilled labor, increase unemployment and increase incarceration rates, you change the culture again. So you'd be researching a culture that is in the midst of adaptation to the new system.
Okay, but like if you enacted hardcore protectionist policies, I mean, the majority of people in raw numbers that would be benefiting would probably just be white people.
You said hardcore protectionists?
Yeah, you're talking about curbing immigration to hurt labor markets.
No. We're referring to your suggestion of increasing immigration.
I'm never saying anything about increasing immigration. I mean, that might be that might be a good choice. It might be a bad choice. But you're talking about artificially impacting labor markets, right? If there are Mexicans that want to move to the United States to work, but you want to prevent that with some sort of law, right? You're talking about using some sort of artificial government policy to restrict labor markets, right?
Could you repeat that, please?
If you're making laws to restrict immigration, right, to prevent people that would otherwise immigrate here to work, if you're trying to prevent them from doing so, then you're artificially restricting labor markets, right?
Okay, and the thing I'm thinking of was during your preparation for the Lawrence Southern debate, you said you don't want to bring foreign workers and have them, I'm sorry, this is in relation to somebody presenting you with the question of why don't you just have foreigners come in for a little bit and then leave?
Oh, temp workers, sure.
Yeah. You don't want to bring in foreign workers and have them take jobs from your natives and then fuck off and leave, right? You want to bring them in, make them your citizens, keep them there. You want to bring them into your tax base. You want them to have children, and you want to continue to fill these jobs without relying on importing labor from other countries. Is this correct?
Yeah, I think, I guess the stronger argument is I don't feel like temp labor is a good long-term solution, because if those countries start to reach a level of economic prosperity where the temp workers don't want to come anymore, then you find yourself in a similar problem. I think it's probably true that importing these workers permanently and growing them as part of your tax base and part of your country is probably better in the long run for the entire world, which therefore benefits your country more in the future.
And then the idea is to become less reliant on importing labor from other countries.
Possibly, sure. I guess it would depend on how all the markets work, but...
So from what I can understand from your statement, you're suggesting that we bring in immigrants, have them become citizens, have them have children, and have those children of those immigrants fill the low skilled labor positions without any need to replenish from outside the country.
I mean, that may or may not happen at some point, sure. I mean, right now our population is diminishing and we're having a big underemployment problem in parts of the United States, but...
Oh, yeah, may or may not happen, but I'm saying that this was your statement?
Yeah, I guess, yeah, if that's what I said, yeah.
Okay. Wouldn't you suggest, or to me, this statement suggests that you are recommending a new slave labor force.
But it's not slave labor. These people are choosing to immigrate because...
absolutely right. Low-skilled labor force.
Sure, because our low-skilled labor force in parts of Western Europe and in the United States are hurting, yeah.
And then their children to become low-skilled labor.
Well, maybe. I mean, first immigrants are probably more likely than natives, but I mean, eventually they would become high-skilled labor as well as they're more and more integrated into the country.
So you want immigrants to come to this country and be stuck at the lower skilled labor status, so much so that eventually you would recommend not taking in so many immigrants because they're a part of your tax base, they're having children, they're filling these low skilled labor jobs. There's no reason to get any more.
Well, I mean, eventually the markets would sort it out. Eventually wages would either become so low or the population in the country transporting these immigrants would become so low that it would no longer be a positive choice to move, right? As labor flows from one market to another, the value of the labor where the market is flowing to will decrease, and the value of the labor where the market is flowing from will increase. Eventually, those will reach a market equilibrium, in which case you would expect to see labor not flowing so much from one area to another, right?
If these instances occurred in an economic vacuum, then yes. But what you're talking about is creating a new subclass of person who is a foreigner who has not been accepted by the majority of the United States, who will be treated poorly. I mean, in any stretch of the imagination, you can assume that these people who would come in and become citizens simply to fill these roles, as opposed to the normal avenues in which an individual becomes a citizen, they would be considered to be second-class citizens.
I mean, why? They could just be working people. I mean, it's possible that you could argue that we could all accept these people and not treat them like lower-class people, right?
Would you take history as an example of not doing that?
No, I think we've achieved a greater level of integration in the United States than we ever have in all of history.
Are you familiar with the term coolie?
No.
They were the Chinese people who worked on the railroads.
Okay.
They brought them in simply to
Oh,
work.
yeah, sure. Those were the main reason why our railroads got built, sure.
Right. Treated terribly.
Okay, but we don't treat Asians terribly anymore. Or, I mean,
No.
I'm sure there's some degree of discrimination, but Asians are very much make up a large portion of a lot of our higher education now.
Absolutely.
And contribute a lot in Silicon Valley.
Decades and generations, eventually the United States accepted them as naturalized citizens. It's a matter of you would be changing the culture of the United States for money.
Well, the culture of the United States is always changing.
Absolutely. But in this particular example, can you honestly say that the culture would improve?
Well, how does culture improve? I mean, what does that mean?
I mean, assuming that you like the idea of people saying that they're American, being proud of the United States, or I don't know, being patriotic, those sort of cultural things, speaking well of one another, not trying to kill someone because they're a different race.
I mean, these are all things that Mexicans can do in America pretty easily.
Absolutely. Yes.
I mean, if anything, if you look at like crime statistics in places where the Mexican population is heaviest, these people are actually dramatically underrepresented in crime. Like the areas with the most immigration in the United States tend to be the areas with the least amount of crime. So, I mean, it seems like they do a decent job integrating insofar as that goes. I mean, and they produce a lot of economic prosperity for the country as well. Like,
would you be referring to the statistic in which Hispanic people increased incarceration?
no, what? I think that in general, immigrant communities tend to produce less crime than native communities.
Oh, I don't think I sent it to you. Okay, my mistake. 1 second. I have a statistic in which might explain better what I'm trying to point out.
Okay. All right, and then after this, I've got to wrap this up in the next few minutes because it's
Hey,
getting really late. I got to sleep
Destiny,
pretty soon.
do you think the chap can hit
Oh, absolutely.
15 tomatoes?
Okay, I'm not
Much
really
loves
sure where I hit my
5
statistic,
months.
but
Thank you for
basically,
streaming.
you have okay. There is a study that was performed by the U.S. Bureau of Crime Statistics, where they discovered that from 2000 to 2005 or 2010, there was a dramatic increase in the incarceration of Hispanics in the United States. So while the incarceration of Black people decreased in I think it was 5 years, the Hispanic population doubled or tripled.
I mean, are these in absolute or per capita?
Oh, I found it. Okay, so the state and federal prison incarceration.
Wait, can you send me the link here?
Yeah, absolutely.
This guy gives me rectal cancer.
All right. So, state and federal prison incarceration. I'm not trying to put you on the spot. Can you give me the actual Bureau of Justice Statistics site that sources these stats? I'm a little bit hesitant to take these at face value because the site they come from is blackdemographics.com. Let me see if I can.
So I mentioned that I should mention that I was mistaken. It wasn't the Bureau of Criminal whatever I was thinking. It's a bunch of different areas added together.
Yeah, so like I don't know the methodology of the way this person is adding this stuff together, and typically people from sites like these have very specific agendas that make me wary to trust their data at face value. When I had an argument with JonTron, similar data floated around that was conflated from a bunch of different sources in a pretty dishonest way.
Okay, so you're saying that you are not sure about the legitimacy of this particular
Correct.
data.
I would like to see the Bureau of Justice Statistics sourcing for this rather than a compiled data table from somebody who writes for blackdemographics.com.
It's not just the Bureau of Justice. It's several different sources listed at the bottom.
Sure, but the
graph.
more sources, the more spurious the data could be, because I don't know how these are added together or if they're weighted appropriately or how this is like.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, the more sources may be the more accurate.
That's not necessarily true, though.
Well, it's not necessarily true that more sources means less accurate also.
If the person who is putting together these graphs lacks the necessary background and statistics, then the more statistics that they bring together, the more off the mark their data could be, and the higher probability for them to present it in a bad way could be.
Yes, if this person who made this graph does not have the education or the know-how to compilate all this information from several different sources, then yes, that's absolutely true. But what you're saying is that it is unlikely that this is accurate.
It could be or couldn't be. I would like to see the source for the compilation.
Okay. Well, the sources are listed below. Are you able to see it?
Yeah, but I mean, it just says source BJS, like the Bureau of Justice Statistics. That's a huge database of crime. Like where exactly? I mean, I can't do this now. I'm not. I mean, he listed sources, but
well, the place that you would likely start would be the state and federal prison incarceration rates for races.
Well, I'd probably just go to the Bureau of Justice Statistics and start looking. Like,
yeah, I mean instead of looking at the Bureau of Justice entire statistics, you'd start with the state and federal prisons incarceration rates. But okay, I get that you don't fully trust this source, but if you were to humor me and consider that it may be true, okay, that these may be accurate compilings of this data,
okay,
then it would suggest a drastic increase in Hispanic incarceration. Would you agree?
Unfortunately, no, not yet. You need more data.
So you're saying
let me give you an example. Let's say, for instance, that there were 10 million people that were Hispanic in the United States in the year 2000, okay?
Okay.
Now, let's say that in the year 2010, there were 100 million Hispanic people, right? If the Hispanic population grew 900%, but the crime only grew 15 to 20%, then that would mean that Hispanics are decreasing the amount of crime they commit, right? If the population was outgrowing percentage-wise the number of criminals, that would mean that the percentage of Hispanics committing crime would actually be decreasing markedly, right? Much the same way that if the Hispanic population was decreasing, you could argue very easily that, wow, Hispanics are committing even more crime than what it shows. You would technically need more numbers to draw stronger associations. But it sounds like I'm being a real stickler, but this is kind of like a really big point that a lot of people can use data to present very disingenuous numbers. I can actually give you a real life example of this, that Syrian immigrants in Germany are massively underrepresented in crime, but there have been more crimes committed by Syrian refugees over the years. And a lot of people point to that and say, well, look, you can see these refugees are committing more crime. But if you look at it, it's actually less than before. But the thing is, they're taking in more of them. So even though the percentages per capita of crime are decreasing and are actually below natives in a lot of sections in Germany, especially compared to Syrian refugees, you find that the absolute number of crime has risen, right? But that's why it's so important to talk in per capita, because if you don't talk in per capita, you can tell wildly different stories using the same numbers.
So you're saying that it is likely due to a population increase that Hispanics from 2000 to 2010 increased their incarceration rate?
Well, it's possible. Let's look real fast, okay? I'm curious.
Okay.
So Hispanic population in the year 2000, right? The Hispanic population grew by 15. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Well, so the Hispanic population grew by about 15.5 million from 2000 to 2010. That's a 44% increase, right? So
Yes.
let's go back to your data, okay? So in 2010, you've got 327,000 people committing crimes versus 2,000, right? So
Incarceration, not committing crime.
or sure, incarceration. So if we take that 206,900 people and we divide it by the 327,200 people, right? Oh, well, we find that the crime has risen by, am I doing this right? 37%. So even though the population has grown by, wait, hold on. Did I do this right? Or it might be the other way. 6%. No, I'm sorry. So we find that the crime has grown by 63%, right? But even though the crime has grown by 63%, the population has grown by 44%. So that growth in crime isn't as dramatic as it seems, right? Does that make sense?
And again, it's still dramatic when compared to white and black totals.
What? It's still what? I'm sorry, say that.
It's still dramatic when compared to white and black totals. Black crime, incarceration was down at that time, and white crime did not increase at the same rate. So when compared to other races, you do not see the same reciprocal increase.
Sure.
But you do see a 60%. I believe you said 60?
Hold on, let me see. Okay, wait. To actually do this, you would do this. -3. Okay, so crime grew by 120,000. So I want to know 120 of 207. Hold on. So no. Oh fuck. Why am I so fucking bad at this? Hold on.
It's cool.
Oh my god. What number am I looking for? Hold on 1 second. I have to talk my way through this. Okay. So we went from 206 to 327, right? So 327 minus 206 means that we see an increase of 121. So 206 times 206 times something equals this 121 number, right? So 206 divided by 121. Well, I'm doing this wrong. Was it 58? Was I right on the 58? I think I was right on the 58. It's too late. Yeah, it was this. So the crime increased by 59%, right? If we do 1.59 times 206, yeah. Okay, so we see that crime increased by 59%, which outpaced the immigration, which grew by 44%, or the number of Hispanics by 44%. Sure.
Yes. So
Okay.
You were making the argument that the Hispanics in their communities commit less crime?
No, I'm not making the argument. I was saying that it was possible, right? But now that we've gotten a second data point, now we can argue that there has been a per capita increase in crime in the Hispanic community. Sure.
Right. So the immigration would be, you would say, related to this?
I don't know. You need more data. You can't just use one chart to make. That's a very, very big claim.
Didn't you just use the immigration numbers to figure out the percentage?
Well, but I don't know if more immigration will cause more crime. I don't know what types of Hispanics have a propensity for committing crime. We would need more data to break that down.
Well, again, I'm not saying that the immigration caused crime, saying that there was immigration and then an increase in crime.
Yeah, but maybe the crime is more likely to happen with first-generation immigrants as opposed to people that immigrate, like first-generation people born. Maybe the crime is all broken down by socioeconomic lines. Like, we would need more data.
To find the source, yes, but to indicate that there might be a problem, no.
Maybe. All right. Well, yeah. Listen, I have to sleep soon. It's getting really, really late for me.
Oh, I completely understand. Thank you for having me.
I'll give you the final word. What else? What do you want to end on?
Yeah. Okay. So I guess my point would be that it is reasonable to consider that black marriage can have beneficial aspects to it that may affect finances, that may affect, and that can be affected by the general economic status of the United States and immigration and all that. The inherent biases in the system are not necessarily racist based, but are built into result in a disadvantage to black communities due to culture or whatever aspect. Can be, in some circumstances, assisted by being in a relationship committed to raising children.
Sure.
That's him. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. Well, hey, I appreciate the conversation, my dude.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Have fun. I'll see you later. Oh, God.
So.
Oh, dude. Kyle, it was
you
so
remember?
hard. Oh, my God, Kyle.
Let me ask you a question. Do you remember the first thing you asked him?
I don't even... Oh, the difference
You asked
between
him
correlation and causation.
Dude, and he said he understood that.
Oh, Kyle.
Do you believe him? Do you believe that he actually understood that?
Oh, my God. Oh, no, Kyle. Oh, my God. I just don't know what to say. This is what I remember when I told you earlier. I actually went over. I'm glad that I went over this so much with him. Actually, you know, it looked like a really dumb debate, but I'm glad that we spent so much time on this because earlier I said when I was talking, I said sometimes when I talk to people, I have the feeling that we're talking about these high-level concepts when there are fundamental misunderstandings that they have about how data and stats work that makes it so I shouldn't even be so I'm glad, but like I spent like an hour talking about
causation versus correlation.
Oh, Kyle.
That's all you talked about.
Okay, but couldn't you maybe say that this is a causal relationship?
No. No, you can't. Oh my God, dude. What the fuck?
Holy shit.
That is like 12:01 p.m. Almost done, I think. Holy fuck, this shit is impossible.
Holy shit.
That was an hour ago. By the way, you need to not destroy entire sections when you're rebuilding them. Just rebuild it somewhere else. Like, you fucked our iron production so hard, and I'm like, okay, it's going to get fixed here any minute now.
Well, I thought that our furnace speed module shit would do it, but it's not. But to be fair, you also, like, you're demanding a fuck ton of iron, Kyle.
Well, you're demanding I build this stuff. You're the one who wants me to build fucking blue track and all this other shit.
Kyle, have you established a causal relationship between me destroying our things and the iron? Maybe I started building these because you already destroyed the iron.
No, you destroyed the production. Instead of destroying the production and then making new production, how about you just make new production somewhere else?
All right, we're working on it, okay? Shh, just chill. And then we got...
I actually don't even know how this is going to work.
It's going to work. That's all you need to know.
The space is like... Oh, God. It's just like we don't have the iron to produce speed modules. We don't have the iron to produce beacons.
Jesus fuck, Kyle. I'm sorry, dude.
I don't know, man. That was just...
All right. All right. Are you ready to start a new world?
You want to start over?
Kyle, this is all so fucked. Our bus needed to be bigger. Everything needed to be more moved. The train system, Kyle, is a catastrophe. All right. Everything is falling apart. Everything is falling apart. Okay.
Oh my god. Yeah, I know your train system is a little questionable.
Everything is falling apart, Kyle.
Oh my god.
Imagine how much better this would have been if we would have made the first bus so much bigger.
Well, what do we need to make? How much bigger do we
somebody's
really
saying
need
you
to
could
make
update to the new experimental patch while you're at it. Look, there's a newer...
We have. We're on the most recent patch.
Yeah, but we could be starting from the new experimental patch.
Oh my god. You know how pissed my friends are going to be if we start over?
Kyle, look at that. Well, we can alternate days, okay? You can play with them some days, and you can play with me some days. Look at this iron, Kyle. This is beyond fucked. Give me grenades. Give me some grenades, Kyle.
Okay, it sounds like grenades are up here, by the way.
You're right. Okay, listen. We're gonna take a breather on this world, okay? And then tomorrow we're just gonna look at potentially a new one, okay? How about that? All right?
Okay.
Listen, we're gonna start. What did we learn? Okay, we're gonna start with a bigger bus. And we're gonna start.
So how much bigger does it need to be? Do we need like a? Do you want a 4-lane superhighway of green chips too?
Do we need? No, I think with blue track we're probably good on that. But maybe we should have it. Maybe we should have an opportunity for that.
Basically, I shouldn't have put you in charge of anything, right? That's what I'm hearing here.
Wait, listen, dude, this is equal responsibility.
You're the one who made the original bus, and then I tried to fix it.
I just threw it out like our last one. I don't know what the fuck we actually needed. Damn, Daniel.
Okay. Tomorrow we will regroup and we will make plans for whatever the fuck we're gonna do in the future. Because apparently we just spent 20 hours on.
Listen, I'm learning all the new things at Factorio. Okay.
Capped off on. We didn't get. Oh, we got us into science. We fucking
the new science shit. All right.
I have a better idea of what to do with fucking science.
Okay. I love you. Have fun.
Okay. Don't. Oh my god. If you're gonna, I don't know if I can do another one of those. I've never listened to that long of a debate.
Well, but look at this is so much better than ones where I talk higher level concepts with people that don't understand these things. All right.
I suppose.
Rails
but man,
over
that
fuels
was
is
painful.
the world war of our time.
I need to go. Like, I need a palate cleanser here.
All right. Have fun. Rip on, dude. Wait, I'm sorry. Oh my god, I can't believe that I'm having so much trouble with this. So if we have the number 200, okay, and then that number becomes 300, I want to find a percent increase, right? Between these things, right?
200 to 300 would be a 50% increase.
Okay, so it would be 200 divided by 300 plus 1 would get me that number, right? 200 divided by 300 would equal 0.5, and then I would add 1, right?
200 divided by 300 is not 0.5.
Wait, what?
200 divided by what?
Oh no, you're right. I'm sorry. 300 divided by 200 is 1.5. Oh my god, why did I forget how to do all of this? I'm gonna say because it's late.
Change over previous amount.
Yeah.
300 minus 200 over 200.
Correct. Okay. Wait, let me bring up that data again because I was doing this wrong, I think. Holy fuck. I'm usually better at this.
Now you know how I felt like 2 nights ago when I was trying to figure out science and I thought I needed like 35.
Okay,
I thought I needed
so
30.
we're looking at 206,900 to 327,200. So we want to find, first of all, we find the change is 327,200 minus 206,900. So our change is 120,000, right? So then our base number is 206,900. So I take the change and I divide it by the base number.
Change divided by base. Yeah, that's
206,900. Okay. And that is my change. My change is a 58% increase, right? So if I take 206.9 times 1.58, I come, okay. Yeah, all right. Got it. All right. I love you, Kyle. Have fun.
Sleep tight, buddy.
Rip on. Do you guys understand? I'm sorry. I'm glad I'm really glad. Because maybe you guys learned something, or do you guys understand what I'm talking about when I'm talking about what does data tell you? Is there anybody that didn't follow that conversation, or more, is there anybody that thinks I was wrong in that conversation? Is there anybody that disagrees with what I was talking about?
Can I get a ye-boy in chat?
You used median/mean interchangeably. I don't think it was important in this conversation. I don't think he knew what the difference was, but I don't think it was relevant to the conversation. Whether that was median or mean, it didn't change anything that we talked about. I don't even fucking know what median. Isn't median when you arrange all the data and then you like cut it down the middle with like the numbers without averaging it all out? Isn't that the median? So like if you had so like is the median of this set would be this number, and then the mean would be 4, 9, 16, 24 divided by 5 is 4.8, right? So the mean would be 4.8 and the median would be 5. But it didn't matter. This didn't matter, I don't think, to this conversation at all. I think you're kind of wrong at the end there. I don't know what to say. I don't really know. I feel like I feel like we have to speak for hours. I think I take maybe, again, and I hate to sound so smug. I'm not trying to sound smug, but I think maybe I just take for granted my understanding of statistics. I don't think I have an above average understanding, but maybe I do, or maybe I'm only picking out the people that don't. So what was this? I think you're kind of wrong at the end here. Looking at population growth for Hispanic people, couldn't you say that increasing the Hispanic population has resulted in a greater increase in crime? You could say that, and that data actually maybe suggests it, but you need more data to really make that causal claim. Like, you need more data. You have to measure and control for variables. For instance, what if the native Hispanic population was massively increased in crime, but immigrants were massively underrepresented in crime, right? Maybe it's only native Hispanics that commit crime, right? In that case, you wouldn't argue that increasing immigration would increase the crime, maybe, right? Like, or there's a million other ways you can look at this stuff. You can't just look at like one number and say that, well, this will definitely cause this, right? Like, you can't say that. You can't make these kinds of causal claims. Like, this is why I think, like, everybody makes fun of social sciences, but, like, this is why, like, physics and chemistry and I don't want to say biology even are easy, right? And in math, right? The more pure you are, right? It's very easy, right? Okay, well, 5 increases to 10, therefore, right? I mean, we solve for x, right? We know that x equals 2, right? This is obvious, 100%, right? Or maybe in physics or in chemistry, right? If you're doing like stoichiometry, like, you know, like 10 H2O going through fucking photosynthesis, I don't fucking know, right? You could show that, like, oh, well, this will always lead to this. Or in physics, you know, like, well, if you increase this, you know, this increases for sure. Like, these 1-to-1 like ratios exist in the pure sciences and whatnot, but like But these kinds of pure 1-to-1 trade-offs in abstract sciences just don't exist. In psychology and sociology, and like, this is why I get so irritated when people like Ben Shapiro say things like, I don't think sociology is a real field. I don't need a sociological degree to read a sociological study. Well, even Ben Shapiro has shown that he has a very poor understanding of interpreting data, which is especially funny considering he has a degree in law, right? Which is philosophy. Like, I don't know, dude. I'm not sure. These are really frustrating conversations to me. Destiny, I don't think that's what he meant. What are you saying? What don't you think is what he meant?
So what is your formal education background?
I farted and then thunder happened outside my house.
Yes, there are lots
The
of
data
fields of study.
suggests on my butt is
Well, what I'm getting
sport.
at is there's a lot of theory. Many of this tonight.
As far as if you want to take issue with the argument, I would urge you not to use the argument from authority, which is
First of all, I can't believe he uses this incorrectly. Referencing an authority figure is not the fallacy of argument from authority. I don't know why he would say this. There's no way. I can't reconcile the stupid shit he says with the education that he supposedly has. He's a Harvard law grad, right? How does he not know the basic philosophical fallacy of argument from authority? How do you get that way?
somebody has a PhD by their name, they know what they're talking about. That's a dumb argument.
What I'm trying to get at is that the fact that you have any other further education in any of these topics or any of these fields of study.
I don't need a 7-year degree in sociology. No bullshit when I hear it.
And granted, that's your opinion.
Right. Because I'm here, yeah, giving it.
That would mean that you're also offering kind of unqualified opinion on a lot of topics.
See, again, you're just making the argument from authority. I don't think slapping a PhD from Ferris State next to your name makes you an expert in all things in the field in which you propose to speak. Okay, the fact is that either my argument's good or my argument's bad. Citing to my credentials is a really bad way of making an argument.
That's true.
It's like it's actually the equivalent of, it's so funny, when people do this, it's the equivalent of actually a religious person saying, citing to the Bible for an argument. I'm a very religious person, right? I mean, see this? It's the yarmulke, okay? I'm a religious person.
This is a really bad comparison and shows that he doesn't understand what argument from authority means, right? Typically, when you're talking about a fallacious argument from authority, oftentimes you're talking about citing an authority that's not an authority topic not an authority in the topics that you're talking about. So, for instance, citing a PhD in physics to speak on matters of biology, right? That would be a fallacious appeal to authority. Just because he has a PhD in physics doesn't necessarily imply that he has advanced knowledge of biology, right? Showing that somebody's citing the Bible as a way to argue fact is the same as somebody with a PhD in sociology being cited as having an opinion in sociology are two very different things. This example, and again, like maybe I'm being uncharitable, but I feel like his example and his earlier usage demonstrates his inability to understand this concept, or his lack of understanding of it.
Okay, I never cite to the Bible. The reason I don't cite to the Bible is because that's an argument from authority. Okay, you may not believe the authority to which I'm citing. I don't believe the authority to which you're citing. So you're going to have to make me an argument as to what I'm saying that's wrong instead of just saying I don't have the properly enumerated degree from the institution of your choice.
I'm merely citing academia. If you haven't done any significant study or any type of educational, you haven't established yourself as a PhD or a doctorate in any of these programs, so how can you make a qualified opinion on these topics?
Or another, I'm skipping these, fuck off. Listen, Destiny, see where you're coming from, but you're using it nice. So, like, another thing you could say is that also citing somebody and saying that their authority, period, like, is a way of validating their argument outside of other ways of validating their arguments would also be like an argument from an appeal to authority or whatever.
As I have read the studies and I can have an opinion on them.
And that's your opinion, and mine was just stated. So, thank you.
Yes, that was my opinion. Sociology. This way, I know a lot less about welding than I do about sociology.
What I'm getting at is that you're not a group of study, but
Fuck, why does
so
it
you're
say
not
it?
necessarily an expert.
Yes, there are lots of fields of study. Logical study. I don't consider sociology a particularly expert field, but go ahead.
Like this idea that like sociology isn't a real field of study. Like these kinds of statements like trigger the fuck out of me. I think there are a few areas that your stats understanding is weak. I don't know if I can have a conversation like this or if this is going to. I think I'm just gonna play one game of PUBG, okay? And then you can talk about what you think I'm wrong about in stats, and then I'm going to sleep, okay? Alright, I got one game in me, okay? I have a responsible sleep schedule. Yeah, I'm going to sleep.
I waited here. Listen to you be wrong about fucking appeal to authority for 10 minutes,
Listen.
and now you only have time for one game?
Shh.
You know you're wrong about that, right?
What?
Appeal to authority.
Sure.
Okay.
What's up?
What?
Wait, what? Wait, I can't tell if you're trolling or not.
I'm not trolling.
What am I wrong about?
An appeal to authority. What does it mean?
So I think the example that I cited is when you appeal to an authority of a different topic to claim that they have authority on all topics. There's also the fallacious appeal to authority where you say that just because somebody is an authority on a topic, that means that their arguments are necessarily true when technically you could still argue against them, right? There are multiple forms of the argument, right?
Isn't that what he said?
What?
That's what Shapiro said. He said, I don't need to be like an expert in sociology and understand that's bullshit.
Sure, that is what he said. But somebody citing an expert in a sociological field doesn't necessarily make that an argument from authority, right? Like, it doesn't necessarily make it a fallacious appeal to authority.
It doesn't necessarily mean that it's true just because the guy's an expert in the field and he makes a claim. It doesn't necessarily mean it's true.
Sure, but there's nothing wrong with citing experts in the field, right? That
Right.
That alone doesn't make it like nothing. I don't think that guy said anything that implied a fallacious appeal to authority. I think that guy said something along the lines of like, I don't remember. I'd have to go back and look. But like, but just saying that, you know, like, hey, this leading sociologist says this and this, right? You can't just say like, oh, you're citing him. That's an argument from authority. Like, well, no, that's a legitimate appeal to authority, right?
Okay, but like if I'm sure there's many like creationists believing scientists.
I can give you a real
they
example.
could say something in their field that because they're religious, you can say, well, I don't need to be a scientist to realize that it's bullshit.
Yeah, but maybe. But
right?
The problem is when you're talking about abstract sciences, things get so much more complicated that it's hard to. It become a lot more confusing. Things aren't obvious or intuitive when you talk about stats. Have you, what's the name of the paradox, or not paradox, what's the thing where like 99% success rate? Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Do you know what I'm talking about?
99% success rate? No, I don't think so.
I'm cute, you're cute, right?
Yes, it's matching.
Oh my God! But there's a thing where like you have a test and it tests for a disease that occurs in 1% of the population and it's 99% effective, right? And if you test like 1 million people and like 10,000 of them come up as positive, right? How many of those people have the disease, right? and the answer to that intuitively is, well, a very high percent would, because it's 99% effective. But the actual answer is far Bayes' theorem, is actually far lower. It's like 2% of those people will actually have the disease, and the vast majority that you test for, even though you have a 99% positive screening, the vast majority of people that screen positive are going to be false positives. Does that make sense? Right. I'm sorry.
That makes sense. So how does that tie into the other part?
Well, I'm just saying that like, when you're talking about very abstract sciences, it's very hard to have an intuitive grasp on any of this. Typically, what you need is a fierce allegiance to numbers and data and sound scientific methods. You can't just look at one stat and go like, oh, that's wrong because I know it's wrong. It's bullshit, right? I would be very wary of somebody that says, well, I know that's wrong because it's bullshit, because that doesn't sound like a very sound scientific method for arriving at a conclusion, right? And I'm
right.
And I'll do this specifically with Ben Shapiro because I know that some of Ben Shapiro's most popular work relies on him incorrectly interpreting statistics, right? And reaching bad conclusions because he doesn't have the necessary background to make the arguments that he makes. But because he speaks well and because he's a right-leaning speaker, people will accept anything that he says as being fact, right? Is my problem with Ben Shapiro making that statement that sociology is a bad field when he himself has made errors
so
that any sociologist
appeal to
would
his
point out.
authority.
Well, they're not appealing to his authority necessarily. He's just making bad, irrational arguments. Hold on, I've got to up my bit rate, guys. My fucking stream is gonna die when I do this. What's up? We're playing video games. Why are we talking about all this shit again?
Because you're.
Oh my fucking god, dude! I just argued with the dude for an hour. They didn't know how to like look at the stats, like basic.
I was listening to you talking about some guy about like median household income.
Yeah.
through like divorce rates and everything like that, and he doesn't understand like the number one thing that you learn about statistics.
Yeah, that's what I think, right? Like, I don't even think this isn't like you learn this like in your 3rd year of doing it, or like in an advanced AP class. This is like day 1 basic stuff that you learn.
This is like I remember, I don't think I learned that in high school, but my first university class, all of my first year university classes, the very first thing I did because I was studying psychology. Very first thing I learned in like every single one of my classes is correlation does not equal causality.
Yeah. And you learn that across multiple disciplines. You learn it in psych. You learn it in economics. I'm sure there are
use
other
it anywhere where statistics are involved.
Yeah. Where do you want to go, buddy?
Up to you, man. You only have 1 game in you, so maybe we should make this last.
All right, I'm doing a Pachinki landing. Okay.
All right. Let's make this last in Pachinki, I guess.
Yeah, Mr. Ambassador, after this game, we'll chat, dude.
Oh, okay. So you're not going to bet at a responsible time.
I am, but I'll talk to this guy for 2 minutes, and then...
2 minutes means 2 hours for you.
Sure, at least it's 3:30 then. Just chill, okay? Just calm down, all right?
All right, is gender a spectrum?
Okay, dude, Manster, I'll look afterwards. I don't know. I don't know anything about gender theory or any of that shit. Some people believe it is. I don't know medically. I don't know what the current literature is on it. I don't know enough about it to know for sure.
There's a shitload of people landing around us.
Damn it, I fucked my roof landing up. And there's an assault rifle there.
I saw a guy landing near you.
Yeah.
He's outside my house. Or is that you? Yeah, he's outside my house.
Okay. Just don't die, okay? I know I saw an assault rifle on this roof.
Okay, I'm gonna Mozambique this fuck. I hope his buddy doesn't roll up on me.
I'll talk to Jeff if he wants to talk. Just give me let me do this, guys.
I can't get any more lucky with this. Unlucky, rather. That's pretty lucky. Okay, I got another shotgun and level 2 armor. I'm ready to frag out. Ooh, is this a 4X?
Damn, dude, I got kitted the fuck up. Level 3 helmet, level 2 vest, assault rifle. This is your 3rd house you're going to? Oh no, 2nd?
Oh, this is my 2nd house.
Okay, I'll go to the one to the south of you.
Alright. If you hear shit, don't try to be a hero.
I'm jumping out, dude. I'm gonna get him. Oh, dude, I got a suppressed fucking pistol. It's all over, man. I'm gonna fuck these kids up.
Okay, I'm going to the next house.
I found an extra. There's an M16 in here if you want it. Do you need one?
Yeah, I do. I have a shotgun for now. Auto shotgun.
Okay, I'm leaving 60 rounds on the floor. Okay.
Okay, good luck.
I hope somebody else comes in
upstairs
and grabs it.
Upstairs or downstairs?
Upstairs. That'd be pretty funny.
Yeah, that's it too. Wait, pick it up. I just found an M16.
Okay.
Wait, is this an 8X scope? What the fuck? I just found an 8X scope. What the hell? Yo, can we run to these places close to the barns, do you think?
Holy shit, hold on, I just found an 8X scope.
Holy fuck. We should go to the barns. I'm not even fucking kidding.
Where are you pinging? You're talking about these, aren't you?
Oh shit, yeah, they're outside the safe zone. I just realized the safe zone's north.
So we should probably just head north.
We should look for a car so that we can cross the bridges safely and head north into some... This is a really good place right here that I pinged. We should try to get a car and go there. Do you need a red dot?
No, I've got one. I'm actually...
Yeah, nice.
I don't have many medical supplies, though.
Okay, there's a pan in my building if you want it.
Oh, no, never mind. There's a pan... Oh, no, I already have one. Level 2 vest in here if you want it.
I got level 2.
Good. I wasn't going to give you this one anyway. Totally was fucking with it.
Nice.
I've got one Red Bull... Or, I'm sorry, one painkiller and one med pack.
10
Or
bandages
first aid,
and a
first aid.
painkiller.
Yeah, we're pretty fucked on meds. We just say fuck it and leave anyway.
Yeah, we can kill people and get their shit. Oh, that house. That I see someone.
Oh, crossing right now? Do you see the guy crossing
Yeah,
the street?
crossing. Yeah, I hit him once. The guy crossing the street.
Okay.
I'm coming to you now. I don't know where his buddy is though.
He's dead. Yeah, he had nobody. He
That,
died
that must have been. That must have been buddy.
Well, I shotgun headshotted him, so I might have just insta-killed him.
Okay. I don't know. It might have been the buddy of the dude I killed though.
Oh, okay.
Shit! I'm in the fucking bombing zone. Did he come inside?
Yeah, he's right over here. He didn't have much.
Look at this fucking geek.
No medical
Alright.
supplies.
Let's try to find a car and get somewhere safe.
Okay, go to the guaranteed car spawn in here.
Sure, let's try that, and then we can go to the warehouses to the right, if it's not there. Let's check in ground floor.
Yeah, check it, shitter. You might as well check upstairs, dude. Might as well loot it all.
No.
Get them med supplies, my dude. Car 98 in here if you want it.
Yes, 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 yes. Oh, this game's over.
Oh shit. Those shots came from right past the murder house. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, I found a black coat. Do you want to move in and kill these people, or do you want to leave, or what?
I have a car 98 and an 8X. I think we should just get the fuck out.
Okay. But they got a lot of medical supplies now. I'm checking. I'm running over to the guaranteed car spawn. Oh shit! I didn't see it in there.
Okay.
Oh no, wait. I don't think this is it. Is it? No.
No, it's not in here.
This is really spooky. This area of town.
Yeah, it is. This game's over. All we need to do is get into a safe spot.
Fuck! Somebody took
there?
it. No.
That's okay. Let's go to the warehouses to the right then. Or it's like, you know, just outside the town by the church side.
We're going out of the safe zone then.
Yeah, we're looking for a car.
Okay.
Because we need to drive across the bridge. We're not going to make it if we run. This game's just going to blow if we run.
There's a bike here. We take this now and we could go, or we could look for a car.
Yeah.
It's risky to look for a car. It's risky to take the bike. What do you think is more risky?
We could take the bike and then look for a car with the bike.
Okay.
We'll just drive down this way a little bit and then we'll just fucking go to where I pinged. Because where I pinged is really sick. Especially with an 8X car. Like we could just sit there and then go. Nice. No, it's not a car.
No, yeah. I
Just keep
I'm
going
tricked
this way
by
for a sec there.
Sure.
Buggy. Better than nothing else. Or better than this. Okay. Let's roll. This bridge crossing is gonna be so fucking spooky. I don't know the best way to cross either.
We could cross over in Georgia Pool, the area that's outside the white. Might be less people
that's
there.
Smart. Let's do it. Well, that's where the fucking plane started, but we'll try it. We're gonna roll up to the house on the east side. The northeast side house. We're just gonna roll up on that and clear it together. It's gonna be a little spooky, but we got it.
Sure.
We'll kill the people that are in there, get all their sick loot and boosters and everything.
If we get rank 1, I'll play another game, okay?
Okay.
Can you team with Steel for the charity event thing? Nope, we weren't cool enough to get invited. Be careful.
What?
I thought that was going to be a big bump. Sorry.
Oh. Get the fuck out of me.
Yeah, sorry. I should have covered. It's hard to tell in this game which little bumps are insignificant and which ones will send you up, like hurdling through the fucking, like in the cornfields or whatever. Have you figured out yet if you shoot your partner in the buggy while you're aiming, if it'll kill them? Just checking. Just checking.
Can we not try it?
No, we don't have to. Not right now. We're going to this area?
No, I'm going to where I pinged.
Yeah, that's what I ping up.
Yeah. We're just gonna hope no one else is there yet.
Sure thing, my dude. We should park like a little bit away from it so there's not a car right outside like screaming to people that, unless there's a way to hide the car there.
No, because we want to keep the car in case we need to like fuck somewhere else. Because it's a big ass white zone. So if we need to fuck off somewhere else, then we need the car accessible.
Sure thing, my dude. Why aren't Steel and Destiny doing for the invite? Because we didn't get invited.
Makes you think. Okay, in this house, clear it out and camp it up.
M4 on the ground floor?
Nice.
Or M16?
Is that M16 or? Okay.
Oh, choke. Let me know if you see any bullet loops, okay, buddy?
Sure, man. Okay, upstairs is clear.
You should have asked us to tweet at PUBG, maybe. Alright, listen.
Actually, we can leave these doors open up here.
Why? What if
because
somebody
we can
scopes
shoot through
in?
them.
Hold on, I'll be right back, okay? 1 sec. Be careful.
I gotta piss as well.
Well,
Be
put...
brief.
Okay, good luck.
Hi stream, now we can finally have some alone time, teehee.
Alright, what are we doing? Are we okay?
There's a buggy like near us, but they drove away.
Okay. Ooh, we got that real good white circle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone here, footsteps, door, no lie. Wait, really? Or was it steel moving? Everybody's saying footsteps, but I'm pretty sure it was steel, you fucking idiots. Fuck all of you.
Well, one person in my chat said as well, so I don't know, but it's just like we're both AFK, so we're just bound to get trolled. So, are you peeking into that other place?
Nope. What am I peeking into?
Like the, across the street? See
Oh,
if there's
no.
kids there or doors open or
I
something?
feel like they would have shouted us, but no, I don't see anybody. It's possible they wouldn't have, though.
Okay.
Okay.
I see a car flipping in the fucking distance, dude. I might run this way. Oh, he flipped it back up.
But why, though?
I can't get that. Because it's gonna be fun.
Because of me? Oh, okay.
By killing everyone.
Do you guys remember a long time ago on stream when we were running northeast of Yasnia? No, northwest of Yasnia, and still got really mad because I shot at somebody and he was like, it's like he's playing Call of Duty, he just has to shoot at everybody he sees. Does anybody remember that?
It's different, dude.
Okay. I remember that moment.
Don't take that shit out of context.
That moment is
Dude.
forever ingrained in my mind, okay?
If people come to us, I have an 8x scope and a car 98. What are they gonna do?
I don't know, we'll see.
We're in a fucking 2-story house in the middle of the safe zone. Like, this is like, of all the times to take a shot.
Alright, dude.
There's people at Severny. I saw one dude freaking out and running around.
Hear that, baby boy? Oh,
Sure
they're
do.
coming right here, my dude.
I hope they do.
Nope, they're flying past.
Yeah.
Pussy ass bitches, dude. That's why.
Yep.
I got a beat on the dude's head, dude. I'm taking him out.
Nice, dude. How much 5.56 do you have?
Oh, I'm sorry. They're actually turning around. 180 rounds. Do you see where they're getting out?
Oh, they're going for the crate. They're going for the crate.
Yeah. Do we should kill them, right?
Yeah, in a second.
Get the fuck out of my way, you fucking cock.
Oh, he's moving. Nice.
Do you want to blow up the car? Or at least get the tires, right? Fuck them up. Yeah, I got one tire.
What just happened to my shot there? Get in the car, you fucking idiot.
Wait, oh shit, someone...
Let's kill this. I killed the other guy.
Yeah.
Okay, they're dead. They lost the...
Good.
Okay, I killed this other guy. There's mad loot there. You want to go? I'll cover you.
Sure thing, my dude. Sounds like a great plan. This is EV positive, guys. You all watched the YouTube video today, right?
Dusty Chan
Sick
probably
meds.
won't notice me, so I'll settle for Robo Lady.
Oh, shit.
Wow,
Okay.
thanks, buddy.
I got you.
Are you shooting right now?
Nope. Are you getting shot at?
I heard a shot whiz by me. I don't know if you're fucking with me or not. You're not fucking with me, right?
I'm not shooting.
Okay,
I'm not
a shot
shooting at
whizzed
all.
by me.
You're not going?
No, what the fuck? I'm getting shot at. I know how much you like to loot while
Oh, I
getting
see-
shot
I
at.
see him.
Where? Hills? Oh, I see one guy moving.
Yeah, one's going to the crate, and the other guy's
Hit him
behind
once?
him or some shit.
Oh shit! I
the
got hit
crate
again.
guy?
There's another guy shooting. I don't know where.
Is he at the crate?
Yes, he's behind the crate right now. He's standing there.
Okay, I can't see him right now.
I'm getting shot somewhere to the southwest. I think. You've got eyes on the crate, right?
Yeah, I'm looking towards the crate. I can't see him though.
Okay. Do you
He's
guys
probably
see where
gonna
I'm
take the
getting
car
shot
and
from in the
fuck off.
hills? Oh wait, no, wait. Maybe
I heard
it's
that.
in front of me, more to the south.
Okay, I hit the guy once. He's gonna try to snipe me though. He's gone up, I think. He's bandaging right now. He's gonna poke up and then he's gonna try to kill me, but I'll try to kill him first. He's between the rock and the crate.
Yeah, I see where he is. He's got another friend up in the mountains.
Yeah, the friend's gonna try to get an angle on me while I'm pinning this guy down.
His buggy is rolling. I'm gonna go look to the left a little, make sure we're not getting rolled up on. Is that guy peeking? Oh, there's a guy coming very close.
Which side?
He's on the ground to the left. Do you see him down here?
Yeah.
He's shot. He's nading you. I hit him twice. He's down.
I can't
Oh,
see
he
his body.
flashed. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Just keep him pinned at the car, okay? Is he?
No, the car guy moved a little bit.
Ah, fuck. This guy got away from me. Where is he? Is he still at the car?
He's at the tree to the right of the buggy.
Okay. Oh my god. Just keep him pinned.
Hit
and
him
I'll-
once.
Okay, keep him pinned.
Fuck. He's back by the crate again.
Okay, this guy's dead.
Fuck. I'm gonna kill this guy. Wait, we should blow up the car. You think you can?
Yeah, I got a lot of ammo now. I can do it.
Blow up the car right now.
Okay. Hold on. I'm getting inside. Sorry, putting a scope on. Yep, killed him. He's dead.
Nice. It was a straight kill, right?
Yep. Well, because I just killed his ally in front of this building right here. Yeah.
Oh, nice. That was his buddy.
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah, he was the one rolling up on us. Remember when I said I was going to go to the left to make sure he's not
Yeah.
rolling up on us? He was rolling up on us, and he got fucked for it, dude.
Okay, I'm gonna take my pain meds, but it's my only booster. I want to...
Loot. There's like
I
3
wanna
bodies
get
worth
that
of
shit.
loot. Yeah.
yeah, I want to get that shit.
I'm coming to you. Do you need
If you're
556?
not go- I need lots of 5.56.
Okay, here. I can help. I can help.
I'm behind you, dude. What do you...
Oh, come up here. What the fuck?
Come... What? Jeez.
Just dropping your shit. Calm, chill out, dude. We got this place on
Thanks.
lock.
I want to go take my buggy up and loot that shit.
You don't want me to go? You don't want to cover me with a sniper? Wouldn't that make the most sense?
Yeah, okay, you can go and I'll try to cover you.
Yeah, okay.
I'll move to this other 2-story. Closer to you.
You picked up all that 556 I dropped, right?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
I'm moving inside the two-story, and I hope there's no one in here. Oh shit, the door's been open though.
That's spooky, but there shouldn't be. And they haven't shot this whole time. I'm coming in to clear with you, okay?
Okay. I'm putting ground floor first.
You open that
Haven't
door,
shut
right?
the Yeah, I did.
Okay.
It's clear.
Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna
okay.
move. Ready?
Yeah, go.
Oh shit, this door to the right is open. I'm running past. Okay.
Clear. Okay.
Who the fuck came here and just looted that one thing?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Oh shit, but over
go
here
get that
maybe?
crate now. I close it.
Okay. I was making sure no one was over here. Alright. You fucking blocking me. Oh my fucking god. I'm not gonna be able to jump. Alright, I
I'm
jumped.
scoping out the landscape.
Wow, dude.
Get all the meds priority. And then like 7.62 rounds if you can.
There was 7.62 in that guy's body that I killed, by the way, outside that house. You can pick up 7.62
Okay.
from him.
Oh my god, there's another crate right here, dude.
Good.
I know one of the guys had a ghillie suit. And try to get an op if you can.
Nothing of... Oh my god, how do they not have any fucking meds? Just
There's a guy
bandages?
by the new crate. He drove a bike.
Okay.
I can't see him.
Oh, you're gonna want to get the AWM off this guy, probably, right?
Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
You think you could pick it up, or
Not really. I don't
there's
wanna-
another guy at the crate. He
Near
took his
me?
bike to the crate.
Okay.
He's getting sniped.
Okay. Lots of meds on this guy. I'm getting them.
Okay, I think that guy just died. I don't know where that other shot came from.
I'm running away from this. There is a
Yeah,
couple
did
med
you
kits
pick
you
up the
can
op
get
or
here.
no?
No, I can't. Can you come get it?
Yeah, is it on a dead body or is
It's
it
on
in
a-
the crate?
The dead body.
Okay. You got all the meds?
No, there's a couple med kits, but
Okay. Which body? By the car or by the rock?
all three of them are like right together. It's on the left when you
Okay.
get up there, though, I think. I think maybe I should just stay near you. Because the shots that are coming are going to be from the north. I can't really see that well inside that house. Big shots coming from the southeast.
Is he running? Yeah? Okay.
We're getting shot at? I think it's from the southeast.
Okay.
Right, guys? I don't see them shooting.
Okay, I'm gonna take this car and get the fuck. Oh, is it blown up?
Yeah, we blew it
Yeah,
up.
okay,
We didn't
I'm
blow up the
going, I'm
buggy
going.
though. There's a buggy back there. Oh, we gotta do something quick. I don't want to get blue fucked.
Oh shit. Yeah. Okay. We're gonna have to run it in then. I think. I don't think there's like a safe play here. Like we could go to this shack in the middle and just get.
Can't we
fucked.
just take the car that we drove and drive
Yeah,
that
we
in?
could take the car that we drove. Do
Yeah.
you want to drive it in?
Sure.
Okay.
So from our right to the southeast, I think that's where those shots were coming from.
Someone was shooting from Severny earlier.
Sure, but I
With
don't
a
think they were shooting
sniper.
at us. They were shooting.
No, they shot at the guy that had the bike,
Yeah.
and they
Okay.
have not.
Are we driving? We're gonna get blue fucked very soon.
Yeah.
Wait, where did we park the car at?
Here,
back
I got it.
Okay.
You want to go to that shack I marked?
Sure.
I don't know what kind of building it is, but
Probably
we're gonna
gonna
have
be
to reach
people
it.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. We're just gonna have
You want to
reach
just
it
play
together.
the outskirts? You really want to go to that shack?
We could play the outskirts. I'm not meaning to do this.
Okay. The outskirts are scary because we haven't cleared any of it. We're not hugging the blue, so.
We're just gonna roll up on this fuck.
All right. Good luck.
Might not even be a good spot to hold from.
Yo, he's in there. He just opened the door. I lit him up, but I'm down. He's in the window right now.
Oh,
my
fuck,
god.
dude. I only knocked him out. Fuck, dude. Maybe we should have gone to there. Maybe we
Or
should have just played the
approach from
outside.
farther away, because when we roll up in the vehicle right there, we get like really fucked, right?
Well, they had like sights. I don't know. He just opened the door and started blasting us.
Yeah. All right, well, listen, dude, I love you. Tomorrow, okay?
I didn't mean to slam into, like, I meant to drive by. I just slammed into his car. We just flipped.
Tomorrow we're going to play, and it's going to be so much fun. We're going to win so many
And then
games,
he
right?
just stayed inside shooting.
Wait, who, what?
You just stayed inside the car after.
Well, I didn't know, like, if we were moving more or what. 'Cause I was scared to jump out because it was, like, rubber banding. I didn't know if I push F to jump out, if I take, like, half damage.
Okay.
Like, if you look at me colliding, like, I don't know when I can jump out safely without taking a fuck ton of damage, you know?
My other duo partner just went offline a second ago. God!
Good, dude. Get fucked. All right. I love you, buddy, okay? Be careful.
Alright, later, dude.
All right. Who am I talking to? I'm talking to Mr. Ambassador real fast. Oh, get out of here, shitter. All right. I'm talking to Mr. Ambassador. Go real fast. All right. You're here. What's up, buddy? Hello? 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 Okay, your mic's not working, dude. Where you at? What's going on?
How's that?
Oh, now it's working.
Yeah, sorry, I turned push to talk on. I forgot the button. There you go.
Oh, God, you're Australian?
No, we've had a chat before. Here, I
Oh.
was actually the first of like the batch of Australian streamers, and then all the race rulers came out, and I kind of got tarred,
Okay.
unfortunately, afterwards.
All right, I won't hold you accountable for their sins. All right, go ahead. What's up, buddy?
Appreciate it. Yeah, look, I think your conversation was actually really, really useful because I think it kind of proved to you that even though you're not like a psych major or a stats expert or anything, the average person has pretty horrific understanding of basic statistical
Sure.
properties
Okay.
and really basic concepts.
Okay.
So I think there's a couple of things that I probably wanted to just let you know that might actually help you moving forward if you get stuck into these conversations. And the first one is that I think from the outset, you and
Wait
the
a
other guy
second.
weren't.
Are you
Yep.
the guy that talked to me when I was playing Minecraft or whatever?
No, I don't know. I had the stream.
Wait, that
No, I
asked me
think it was-
questions for
no.
like an hour and a half?
I don't know.
Okay,
But
no,
we
you would
spoke-
remember. Never mind. Okay. What did we speak about when we
Yeah.
spoke?
I was actually, I'm honored by being the first of the dual wield new video thumbnails. So I'll send you the link here. It was actually it was on Islam out of everything, but I ended up having a really good conversation
Okay.
with a couple of other guys and Movefish and everything, and it was actually really good.
Okay, all right. I just
at the
make
end
sure
of
you
it.
were someone else. All you Australians sound the same to me. All right.
Yeah, sorry, that's
Okay,
fine.
so go ahead. What were you talking about?
Yeah, so I think the big problem is right from the outset, you and him weren't on the same wavelength. So I think you tried to get around that by asking him to define correlation and causation, and his argument, his definition was horrific. And
Really?
you
I
kind
thought
of
its
just-
definition was okay.
You've got to. I think what you need to go a step further and probably give people an example and ask them whether it's correlation or causation.
Sure.
So there's some. So I think basically, you know the difference between an independent variable and a dependent variable, right?
I don't, but I'm going to take a guess and say that an independent variable can be modified, but if you modify like a dependent variable, something else will necessarily change with it. Is that...
Yeah, so in the examples that you were talking about, the independent variable that you guys are looking at is marriage, and the
Okay.
dependent variable is household income. So
Okay.
the assumption by people like Sargon and Ben Shapiro is that if this independent variable is positive, if you are married, then the dependent variable of household income is going to rise.
Okay.
That's the argument that they make, and
Gotcha.
that has a lot of problems because
It's not supported by the data.
yeah, because so for example, you can probably get very strong correlations between, for example, number of people at a beach and number of ice creams consumed in a suburb, right? I could probably get very strong correlations for that. But the problem is that there's a third variable that dictates that, which is temperature. So it's heat. So if it's a hot day, you've got people at the beach, you've got people eating ice cream. Going to the beach in the middle of winter isn't going to make people more predisposed to eating ice cream. And that's one of the problems that people get into with correlation and causation, because they don't actually understand that there are other variables at play. So in what you guys are discussing, the big one that I would put out there is the one you were trying to put out there, which is financial stability. So the third confounding variable to that is going to be, you know, how old you are in your life and where you are financially. You know, I'm not married at the moment because, you know, I'm just starting my career and my girlfriend's just starting her career, so we didn't have the money to get married.
Sure.
And I think that was a point you were trying to make. But there are a couple of other areas regarding the thing, like correlation, that he was getting away with. And that's understanding that correlation doesn't, I think at one point after the debate, you were talking about there being no perfect correlation in psychology and social sciences. Like one-to-one correlation is really difficult to find.
Yeah. Because it means you've isolated every single other variable, right? Which is almost impossible to do in an abstract setting.
Or there's actually a problem in your analysis. So for example, if you were doing like an IQ test and you had 5 components to it, and you correlated the performance in one component with IQ overall, you could probably get a very strong, if not perfect, correlation. And that's actually an error in your data analysis. And some people are quite sneaky when they do that because they try and use that as evidence of something when it's poor data work on their part. So if you're taking something if you're taking a smaller variable from within a larger variable, then you're probably going to get pretty strong correlation there. But that's less of a point. But I guess with correlation can be bidirectional. So have you ever actually looked at a paper that has like an R value or a correlation value in it?
Yeah, but I usually ignore that because I don't understand what it means. But
so it's really simple, right? So
Sure.
It's a value between 0 and 1, and it can either have a negative sign next to it or no sign against it, okay? So if it's a value of 0, that means there is no correlation. So the time that I wake up and the number of eggs that a chicken in Japan lays has a correlation of 0. There's a completely random, unrelated things. If that number is 1.0, that means there's perfect correlation. So getting close to perfect correlation might be something like I get up when the sun rises, right? So if we had
have you tweeted at me about this?
I don't do Twitter.
Okay.
I miss most of your streams because I'm in Australia, so I only sort of get the ones when I finish work early and you're still going a little bit late.
Gotcha. I've heard about this R value because somebody tweeted a while ago criticizing a study doing with sociology, saying that the R value was so low, but then the R value was 0.55, which is apparently about as high as you can expect in these studies. I remember that, but I don't remember knowing what R value is or whatever. But
yeah, so R just stands for correlation.
Okay,
so if you ever see R, that just means correlation. So if it's 1.0, that's perfect correlation.
Yeah, gotcha.
If it's 0, it's shitty correlation. But if it's minus, that means it's actually in the opposite direction.
Gotcha.
So -1 is perfect correlation in the opposite direction.
Sure. So every time you wake up, no eggs are produced ever, right?
Well, in that example, we had 0 correlation, but in this example, you've got perfect correlation in the opposite direction. So something like age and dying of old age would be perfectly negatively correlated. So if you're 0, your chances of dying of old age, if you're 1 year old, your chance of dying of old age is 0. Whereas if you're 130, your chances are, pretty high. So you'd probably get close to perfect correlation there. But yeah, generally, I think it's like 0.3 to 0.4 is like weak, and then 0.5 is like medium, and then like 0.6 or 7 is like strong correlation generally.
Okay.
Yeah, and there are a couple of other little things. One was the per capita and absolute value. So he was saying some bizarre things about per capita family. Like he threw that phrase around, which is really bizarre because per capita means obviously per head. So it's an individual thing.
Well, you can speak about you can speak about families per capita, to be fair, right?
Yeah, kind of. But I think the big problem that I had with him was when you were pulling up these graphs, I don't think he actually understood that those graphs weren't the same people repeatedly measured. So what I mean by that is he was saying things like, yeah, but when you get married, you make more money. But all the data
so he thinks that those were people measured over time and that when they get married,
that's
they
what I
moved
think.
into the other. Oh, maybe. I don't even know,
I think, yeah, what the vibe that I was getting from him was that he looks at a graph like that and goes, okay, so when this person is single, they make this much. And then when these people get married, they make this much. And when these same people get widowed, they make this much. And that was the vibe that I actually got from what he was saying. Versus these are discrete like he was treating it longitudinally, like he was treating it over time, I think. And that was part of, I think, the big issue because you were like, no, these are the same. These are different groups of people measured.
I mean, this is like
time.
On another level than that even I wouldn't have thought to sum to.
Yeah, honestly, and like from chat as well, like I think a couple of people also twigged that what was going on. Like it was just a very poor understanding.
Sure.
But people have really poor just mathematical and statistical literacy. Like if you talk about progressive taxation, I've heard 50-year-old people say that they don't want to pay a raise because then they're going to lose more in tax.
Oh my God, dude, yes. I've argued with people about this, like, well, if I make more money, it'll bump me up to the next tax bracket. I'll actually make
Yeah,
less
tax
money.
bracket.
But
Yeah, that's
it's
it.
progressive.
Tax bracket. Yeah.
No, that's not how that works, dude. That's just your next
Yeah.
dollar is. Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's what I always look to as my baseline when I'm communicating with someone about something like this. The first thing I assume is that they don't know what progressive taxation means.
Yeah.
And then I kind of take it from there. So this guy you were talking to, you know vaguely what sort of well, not vaguely, but you know what median and mean is. He was using those interchangeably. And then the problem was you guys were getting into conversations about outliers. And when you're talking about medians and means, outliers actually make a massive difference. Because
I understand. I agree with that in concept, but in theory. But in regards to what we were talking about, I don't think it really made much of a difference at all. Like, his points were so out there that whether we were talking averages or just medians, I don't think it would have mattered. Like, but I understand what you're saying, that outliers will be discounted more in a median, whereas outliers could have a very detrimental impact on a mean, right?
That is exactly right. Because then if you get someone like Bill Gates who's earning, 6 million times what an average person is earning. He can dramatically
fuck the mean while having no impact on the median.
Correct. You could find stats that probably the average American income is like $1 million or something, right? Because it's including like literal billion or trillionaires versus a median, which is like we've got 356 million people. Let's look at the guy right in the middle and see what that is, and that's normally going to be more reflective.
Sure.
Look, I don't want to keep you because I know it's getting late and you want to fix your sleep schedule.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, listen, I appreciate the conversation.
Yeah. If you've ever got any sort of psych-related stuff or stats-related things that you want to bounce off of me and I'm in chat, then feel free.
Sure thing. All right. I love you, buddy. Bye.
Thank you so much, mate.
Okay, JF. What does JF want? All right, what's up, my dude?
Hey, what's up?
All right, let's go. What's up?
I was just listening to you talking about appeal to authority, and you committed 2 errors, and so I thought we have to explain to Destiny's viewer that they're being the victim of an error of definition and an error also of evaluation of Ben Shapiro's statement, which was correct. And which was a correct representation of what is an appeal to authority. So you're wrong in 2 ways there.
All right, go ahead.
That's
First
what
try.
I wanted to talk about.
All right, hurry
Sorry,
up. We
what?
gotta move fast. I'm so tired. All right, what's the first? You think that my definition of appeal to authority was incorrect? Can you?
Yeah. So when you mentioned that, when you were asked to explain what is an appeal to authority, you said that, it's when, for example, someone would be a biologist, and I would use his argument within physics. And I would use his authority as a biologist to say that what he says about physics is valid. That's not the appeal from authority does not depend on cross-science authorities. It's simply the appeal to any authority. And it was not a good example of what's an appeal to authority. That's the first point.
Okay, so there are different types of fallacious appeals to authority, but that can be one of them. Or do you disagree with that?
Well, I guess you could agree with it, but normally an appeal to authority would be an appeal to authority from someone who's specialist in the field, or the claim that he's not specialist in the field. Not only the example you provide could eventually be included as an appeal to authority, but it's actually just an error of logic. If I'm like, I'm a specialist in biology, therefore I'm right in physics, that's a very weird statement, and that's not normally what is pointed out as an appeal to authority.
Okay, I'll defer to your authority here as an appeal to authority. I've read this in the past. I'm literally quoting right now. I understand it's just Wikipedia, but fallacious arguments from authority can also be the result of citing a non-authority as an authority or citing an expert on a controversial subject. An example of the fallacy of authority to an authority in an unrelated field would be citing Albert Einstein as an authority for a determination on religion when his primary expertise was in physics. So this is one of the examples of citing a non-authority in a field because he's an authority in another one.
Yeah, so I would agree with you there that within the large definition of appeal to authority, yes, it's included, and it's just not the way it is defined normally. So it was a special case.
Gotcha. I was using it in this case. Or sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just wanted to move on to Ben Shapiro, so if you have anything to say, go ahead.
Okay, no, we can move on to his statements.
So as far as what Ben Shapiro says, he was correct in identifying the student's appeal to authority. It was an appeal to authority. The student was not merely citing a scientist in a field. The student was implying through everything he said, and in fact he confirmed that after being triggered by Ben Shapiro. He confirmed that he was criticizing Ben Shapiro because Ben Shapiro is not an expert in that field. And so that was an inverse appeal to authority, that is an appeal to non-authority, which is also a form of appeal to authority, where you claim that the person not being an expert does not allow him to form an opinion on the subject.
All right,
and this is exactly what the student said.
Okay, let me listen to this for the first minute again, okay? So I have this in my mind, 1 second.
So what is your formal education background? Because I guess a lot of people don't know what your undergraduate degree was in.
So I was at UCLA in political science and then Harvard Law School.
Okay. So you don't have, you wouldn't consider yourself an expert in sociology?
I mean, I don't consider sociology a particularly expert field, but go ahead. I think I'm able to read a sociological study.
Study, but so you're not necessarily an expert.
Yes, there are lots of fields of study.
Right. Well, what I'm getting at is there's a lot of topics.
Let's put it this way: I know a lot less about welding than I do about sociology.
What I'm getting at is that you're not considered an expert in sociology, psychology, gender studies, lesbian dance theory, many of these things that you've brought up tonight.
I know a lot more about all those others than lesbian dance theory. As far as, if you want to take issue with the argument, I would urge you not to use the argument from authority, which is somebody has a PhD by their name, they know what they're talking about. That's a dumb argument.
So when Ben Shapiro says, just because somebody has a PhD next to their name, that means that what they're talking about, I think that seems fallacious to me. I think that it is fair to cite authority as credentials to speak of something. For instance, if there are two people and one person says, I have a PhD in genetics or some sort of genetic research or biology, and another person says, well, I have nothing, I don't think it's necessarily fallacious to cite the expertise of another person when speaking with authority in a field, no?
But that's not what he's implying. He's responding to a student. That student said, hey, dude, do you have a PhD? So it's the student's question. He was questioning whether Ben Shapiro is an expert. And Ben Shapiro's response to this is, even if I was an expert, that wouldn't make me right. So you're after the wrong thing. If you're looking at this, you should concentrate on the value of my argument in and of itself. And that's the exact point that the fallacy of appeal to authority makes, which is, things are not true by virtue of being carried by ideologues who have PhDs. And so in the context of his answer to the student, he was simply telling the student, you're after the wrong thing here. Whether I'm an expert or not is not the question.
Sure. So then Ben Shapiro is incredibly poorly spoken in this answer. What he should have said was something
Oh
along
no,
the
you're
lines
not
of,
going to come back to this,
well,
Destiny.
but the problem is, no.
Every time
Yeah,
you
but the
do
problem is that you give these ultra charitable interpretations to his answer, but that is not the interpretation that the vast majority of listeners take. The vast majority of listeners come away from this thinking, oh, sociology is a bullshit field. Anytime somebody's a sociologist, that's just an appeal to authority. Anybody can read a sociological report and be an expert. That is the average message taken away. People will not do the ultra charitable interpretation of, oh, well, Ben Shapiro just meant that you should deal with his arguments on their own merit, and that just because he doesn't have a degree in this field doesn't necessarily mean that he can't be highly educated or capable in this field. That's not the average message that a person listening to this video comes away with.
That is exactly what most people will understand, anyone who listens. In fact, even your own people in your chat room, and even the guy who played with you Battleground was telling you, you're wrong, Destiny, you're wrong.
But he told me that I was wrong on something that you started off saying I was wrong at, that you later admitted that I was correct about. You started off by saying that my initial definition of appeal to authority was absolutely incorrect. And I said that, no, there are some forms of fallacious appeal to authority that include that. And then you agreed as much. So he was incorrect in the same thing that you were incorrect about when you initially called me here.
Okay, well, I still say that the way you defined it was an error. It's not defined as this. It's just a subcomponent of many possible appeal to authority, and there
Sure.
I will agree. But I certainly do not agree with giving up on that second error. What Ben Shapiro is stating here is true, and yes, if people at home are taking the message home that they are able to understand sociological studies, that's good. That's good news. It's a message of liberty in the interpretation of data. It's a message that says to people, yes, you can educate yourself, and yes, you can develop your own opinion on expert subjects, even if you're not an expert. And there's nothing wrong with people understanding that. It's exactly what the fallacy of appeal to authority is trying to communicate.
But the problem is that that's not exactly true, that people can get themselves into more trouble by trying to educate themselves on certain topics than not looking into them at all because of people's lack of education or lack of understanding of certain topics, right? Sometimes anecdotes can be more harmful than no data at all.
Well, what do you mean? Are you here stating that people should feel restricted or should feel blocked from accessing certain domains of knowledge? Are you here on the public space on Twitch arguing that some things need not be communicated?
No, what I'm saying is that you must understand that in order to access some levels of knowledge, there will be barriers to entry, and that if you don't do the due diligence in either understanding that or overcoming that, you are doing yourself and everybody that you talk to a disservice.
Okay, but even if this were possible, we can agree that people are free to interpret knowledge the way they want, and they're free to challenge expert opinions based on their own either moral preference or their different understanding of factual matters.
Sure,
you
but
cannot leave experts not be contested by the population. People have the right to say, oh, this branch of science has gone wrong. They've gone wrong. They've looked at the wrong thing. I don't like the way they do things. I don't like the precision of their data. And this is something that everyone can do. You don't need to be an expert. And to the contrary, some would argue, because you're making the argument here of someone from the general public who would be entering science and hurting themselves by doing so because they wouldn't have done the appropriate due diligence. I would argue exactly the opposite, that there are some experts who are so flooded by the information within their own field that they lose sight of reality, and that sometimes expertise can be more detrimental to to access knowledge than being a non-expert.
Sure, but you're talking about extreme outliers here. In general, we would trust that an expert in a field, or even somebody with any degree of education in a field, is going to have a much more informed opinion than a total layman, right? It's possible, I guess, that some people could get lost in it, but these are extreme outliers that, in general, we don't really consider when we talk about averages.
I think you've not been spending enough time in universities. There are entire branches of science where everyone is wrong, where people have been holding false views for hundreds of years. We know that from Freudian psychology. We know that from all sorts of social sciences. There are sciences where all experts are wrong.
Freudian psychology wasn't held for hundreds of years, and Freudian psychology was literally the first step into the field of psychology where people began scientific exploration of psychological matters. Sure, Freudian psychology was horrible, but from Freudian psychology came other people who advanced the field into what we have, today. Much the same way that at one point in time we all believed the world was flat, but that doesn't invalidate all forms of geography or astronomy because at one time the beliefs were bad, right? We hope that these fields evolve.
No, but what the point that it makes is that sometimes all experts in a field can be wrong, and it's precisely the reason why we need militantism of the kind that Ben Shapiro is doing when he makes these statements.
So when you say all experts can be wrong in a field, while that could be true, typically the correction comes from the introduction of new experts, not from the layman. So there was never a point in time where the world was where everybody thought it was flat, and then a layman, measured the distance between shadows and was like, oh, well, I think, right? No, it took other experts stepping in to correct these mistakes, right? Same thing with psychology. The biggest advancements in psychology after the bullshit that was Freudian psychology didn't come from random people going like, oh, well, maybe we can test different forms of behavior or, reactions and things. It came from other experts correcting them in the field. It was never like all the laymen were like, oh, no, all the experts are wrong. We need to change this.
Well, that's a very interesting statement. Unfortunately, I think that it's wrong. Take the example of Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein was an outsider. He was not an expert in physics. And it's funny that you mentioned the idea of the world being flat, because what Einstein precisely demonstrated, and from outside of his field, from being rejected from universities, demonstrated that the 3D space and the 4D space actually with time that we live in is not flat and that it's curved. And this is a brilliant example that demonstrates that your statement does not hold. There are people from outside fields who are changing fields. Of course, you could argue a posteriori that they are now experts in the field, but that's not really what's happening. They've been rejected by the academia, and they continue their progress into the world, sometimes at their own expense and in their own, and they can advance science.
Okay, but
there are other examples.
Your example of Albert Einstein here is very fallacious. Albert Einstein is not comparable to the average layman. He was never a totally clueless dude that decided to take this up and be like, even at the age of 16, he was getting very advanced, exceptional grades in physics and mathematics. Like, Albert was always a very talented individual. He didn't in his 20s decide to take up, general relativity and then publish it. He was somebody who was very studied, very educated, even from an early point in his life. He's not the average layman saying that entire fields are bullshit.
You could argue that Ben Shapiro has the similar degree of intelligence, maybe not the same because it's not in physics that he's making his realizations, but Ben Shapiro is not a nobody. He's realized things in his life, and to that extent, I must give him equal credit to anyone who says, hey, this field has gone wrong. Let's draw the attention of people here. There's an entire field of science where people are getting funded, sometimes by the government, to do studies that are wrong, that have been showing things that are not true for years.
But the problem is that I haven't seen Ben Shapiro do that. And on the contrary, if you look at his most popular video breaking down extremist Islam, he demonstrates severe flaws in his understanding of how you're supposed to collect this data and interpret it. And he shows either maliciousness or extreme ignorance in the way that he presents that information, which leads me to believe that he is not the kind of person who is qualified to be making the statement that sociology is an invalid field of study.
Well, I'd like to talk about these things separately, and we could talk about them. But given that you've been misinterpreting so much the point on the appeal to authority that he's been making on that video, I wouldn't believe you on your words there.
Do you think
his other video are as wrong?
Do you think that sociology is an invalid field of study?
Yes, I do agree. I've been expressing myself on the public space for years, warning people that the academia has gone wrong. Particularly in social science, but even in my field, which was neuroscience, and that the academics have been taking this field into their hands and are favoring their friends, and that there's a system of corruption within science that has to be addressed, that leads to the production of both fake data and politically motivated data. And I've been drawing the attention of people to that problem. So the fact that Ben Shapiro is out there saying it too, saying I don't consider that social sciences is a field of expert, is very interesting. It's interesting that there's people standing on the public space warning people we are on the wrong track in some of our exploration of the truth. We are on the wrong track in the way we undertake, fund, and decide who makes science in our world.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I guess this would involve going much deeper into topics than the. It's 2:15 a.m. and I can't really do it.
But what we need to do is play Dota.
No,
I just got a new computer.
All right. Okay. Well, listen, dude. I love you, JF. Okay.
All right.
Sleep tight. Be careful.
You too.
Rip on, dude.
Bye-bye.
All right. I love you guys. It's been fun. Stay safe. Be careful. Ripperino, cappuccino. Good night, guys.